Andy Warhol's there, Bohemian Like You.
Oh, you'd be a good radio DJ, you know. Yeah, good. Give it, do it again there now. Do it in your best, like.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, and that's the Bohemian Like You by the Dandy Warhols.
Oh yeah, Dandy Warhols. Yeah. Stick to the day job, Greg.
Yeah,
No harm.
I would have been.
You would have been.
We should all do a thing for, like Charity Day or something where we all switch around different shows. You know, like Ivan does the 9 till noon show.
Yeah.
I do Ivan's show. I'd put out some cracking 90s
That would be
stuff.
good crack, wouldn't it?
He does already.
What would I do?
Jive Time.
Could do that.
You'd have
I
to
love
play
my
old
country music. I do. I was rare.
Do you? Right, no fun then. You'd have to do the news. You have to do the evening news.
See, I enjoyed that. So would put me under pressure. Don't want to do no newsy stuff. That's too.
No?
No, leave that to Donna Marie.
We'll have to get Linda down. She'd have to do Jive Time.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great? You know the
Caroline O could do
was
around
it the swap
Northwest.
around or something? The shuffle, the Highland Shuffle. Caroline,
She's not there.
is she not there?
No.
I'd love her doing your program. No,
No.
Who would do yours then?
Ivan.
Ivan Borland.
Yeah.
Who would do double header? Me and Keith Fletcher could do it.
No.
No.
I don't think.
Why not?
I wouldn't want to let
What did you say no? No.
Let you loose on the Northwest.
I know we would say stuff would be all libel, we'd be in court.
Yeah.
But I'm getting all excited about this. What did you say I would do again?
I didn't find a spot. Oh, the main evening news, but we couldn't risk you on that.
No,
either.
don't do me the news out.
Jive Time.
That's too easy for me.
Is it?
Aye.
Right.
But a grand to get a lie in.
Maybe you could take an hour of the 9 till noon show each.
Nah.
Okay.
I'd have a great crack in your program. Be all good news, fun stuff.
No, Helena.
Huh?
There's lots of fun stuff on my program.
I know.
You know. So let's just be very clear, but that's fun.
On a Friday.
Yeah, right. And other days. Anyway, listen.
Good idea though. Charity, I like that. There's Caroline. Caroline, you don't know this yet. Oh, she's not even listening. Look.
No, she's not. No.
She's too busy producing. Right,
Yeah,
look.
exactly. All right, Lee. But what did you say she should do?
She should do your program. I'm going to tell her now.
Okay.
And then she would know what it's like on the other foot.
Well,
do you know what I mean? And then you could produce. And then you would know what real work is.
I've done the producing before. This is the easy job, trust me.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Lee,
good
thanks very much indeed. Back with you tomorrow morning for his last show of the week, which is a Friday, of course. It's just 2 minutes past 9 now. Let's get a news update and cross over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Redress Focus Group for Banking and Insurance is urging homeowners affected by defective blocks to contact their lender before proceeding with any remediation works under the scheme, and that is to ensure the works will restore the home to a mortgageable condition. It's the group's belief that the principle should have been at the heart of the government's redress scheme. Patrick Sharkey of the Banking and Insurance Redress Focus Group says outer leaf replacement options are of particular concern.
What we want people to be aware of is that the various solutions, mainly the outer leaf replacement options, have not been checked with the banking sector in relation to restoring mortgageable condition. So we're keen that people would be aware that the outer leaf options may not necessarily restore the mortgageable condition, and we would urge people to contact their banks before proceeding with any such work.
€4 million has been spent on private ambulances at Letterkenny University Hospital over the last 3 years. That's according to figures reported in the Donegal News. The highest spend was recorded in 2021 with €1.7 million. 2022 seen a €1.4 million spend, while up until September of this year, €1.2 million was spent on the provision of private ambulances at the hospital. A Donegal senator has opposed a European proposal which could see drivers over the age of 70 having to undergo refresher courses. If the European Commission gets its way, it would mean motorists over 70 would be required to have regular medical tests and courses to renew their driving licence. Fianna Fáil Senator Niall Blaney says it's discriminatory, and we already have adequate measures to ensure older drivers are safe.
Those over 70 go through tests on a 3-yearly basis. I think the system we have works really, really well, and actually the evidence is there to support that. We do have issues in relation to safe driving practice in this island, but it doesn't relate to those in the age bracket of 70s.
Donegal had almost twice the number of farm safety payment claims submitted than any other county in Ireland. 288 claims from the county were submitted under the National Farm Safety Measures. The Irish Farmers Journal says this represents 20% of all submissions nationally and includes 269 PTO shaft covers and 308 quad helmets. Looking now to weather, breezy and mostly cloudy this morning with rain and drizzle. Through the afternoon and evening, clearer and drier weather will push down from the north. That's clouds with highest temperatures of 11 or 12 degrees. That's all for now. The next news updates at 10 o'clock. In the meantime, keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. For myself and the news team, good morning.
Quilcha cares for Ireland's forests sustainably. As our country seeks to combat climate change, we'll do more. Our ambition is to create new forests, manage our existing forests for greater carbon capture, and provide more habitats to enhance biodiversity. We'll support creating new homes by delivering sustainable Irish wood products. And we'll increase the number of beautiful forest recreation spaces for everyone to enjoy. Quilcha. Forests for climate, nature, wood and people. For a greener future for all.
The county's #1 talk show. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. It's 6 minutes past 9 this Thursday, the 23rd of November. It's a damp and dark day across the northwest weather-wise. Hopefully, outside of the weather, everything is grand. But let's not forget now, it's less than a month to the shortest day of the year, so we'll be turning a corner and heading towards spring before we even know it. Right, the lines are open for you right now to get involved in the conversation, to start your own, raise your own issues. It's Thanksgiving Day today, isn't it? Is there anyone you want to thank? Maybe there's someone close to you. Well, normally it's people close to you, isn't it? Is there anyone you thank today? It's Thanksgiving Day. Let's embrace it. If you want us to thank anyone on your behalf, get in touch with us. 086 60 25,000. If you want to thank them yourself, send a voice message to 086 60 25,000 on WhatsApp. But this Thanksgiving, if you want to give thanks, use the 9 till noon show. And you can email us comments at highlandradio.com. Lots coming up at the programme, including in the last hour, Minister Anne Rabbitte. She's in the Northwest. She's going to be in this studio. We've loads of questions to ask her, as you can imagine. Tomorrow morning on the programme, we've got Minister Stephen Donnelly, the two ministers who have responsibility for some of the biggest issues that we've been discussing on this programme over the last while. Obviously, CDNT services and, of course, the situation at Letterkenny University Hospital. That and much more besides. That's two interviews for you today and tomorrow. Right, the Tyrconnell Tribune this morning. Damien Flanagan, a well-known dentist who had resided in Rathmullen for 20 years, has spoken of the trauma at his family home on Halloween night in an arson attack that posed a real threat to setting the house ablaze. The Tribune contacted the Garda Press Office on Wednesday to establish what, if any, lines of inquiry are being processed. The incident, in which two large fireworks were aimed at the Flanagan home at Kinniger Road, is seen as a targeted attack and without any motive other than to firebomb a family home. It's left the family deeply traumatised, and Mr. Flanagan said he was afraid to sleep for the following fortnight in fear of these young cowboys coming back. On to the Donegal News now. Their front page story: Letterkenny University Hospital has incurred costs of more than €4 million on private ambulances in the last 3 years. Figures provided to the Donegal News from the HSE show 4,391,000 plus change was incurred in the hiring of private ambulances in 21 and 22 and up to September of this year. A breakdown of the costs incurred by LUH in the hiring of private ambulances show the highest spend was in 2021 when the HSE forked out $1,732,000. Costs incurred by the hospital in 2022 for private ambulances added up to $1.44 million. Now, I don't know what that means or what that's displacing or replacing or how it compares to other hospitals. I'll read on in the article a little later on. It seems like a lot of money, but as I say, I'm not... What happens in the absence of hiring those ambulances, I simply don't know. The Derry News this morning: Derry and Strabhan's average weekly income is £50 higher than last year, according to official statistics. However, data for real terms pay was not provided for the district. Average weekly pay was £492 last year. Up. Average weekly pay was £492 last year, up on last year's. That must have been the year before, £441, according to Northern Ireland Statistics and Research Agency employee earnings in NI 2023 statistics. I'll reread that later and just clarify what years are being referenced there. The Donegal Democrat this morning, general practitioners are to stress to the Health Minister that an external review of Letterkenny University Hospital is essential. Minister for Health, Stephen Donnelly, will meet with GPs and consultants on Friday morning to discuss concerns they have raised over services at the hospital. The meeting comes after 78 GPs and up to 30 consultants sent separate letters to the Minister calling for urgent action at the hospital amid fears of a service collapse. Dr. Kieran O'Farry, general practitioner at Millbrae Surgery, Stranraer, said GPs welcome the opportunity to meet with the Minister. As well as discussing the need to have an external review, the GPs have a number of other issues that they feel must be discussed, as the immediate establishment of a medical assessment unit with dedicated care, ring-fenced beds and appropriate GP access, as well as improved access to outpatient clinics with the Minister. And just looking through some of the and reviewing some of the concerns of consultants as well. I mean, they are really, really worried about the future of that hospital and the future of service provision as a whole. And as I say, I'm going to try and relate some of those fears and concerns, genuine fears and concerns, to the Minister tomorrow morning. The Irish Farmers Journal this morning, factory agents are scrambling for cattle supplies this week as Christmas orders ramp up. Prime cattle supplies are in free fall, with over 4,000 fewer bullocks and heifers killed last week compared to 4 weeks ago. The supply-demand shift has meant factories have had to increase quotes by 10 cent a kilogram to 20 cent a kilogram in the last 2 weeks to secure cattle. Despite the increase in quotes, Ireland remains a long way behind the prices being paid in its main export markets. Now on to the front of the newspapers here. The Irish Times, the front of the national newspapers. Taoiseach Micheál Martin has announced plans to scrap the triple lock, which prevents Ireland deploying troops overseas without UN approval. In a wide-ranging speech, which also included commitments to greater international military cooperation and domestic security, Mr. Martin said he wants Ireland to be able to respond to crisis without waiting for approval from the UN Secretary Council, which has not authorised a new peacekeeping mission since 2014. Now, you have the likes of China and Russia that are members of the UN Council, and they can veto what this government in this country decides to do. There is some concern over that. That being said, the triple lock was put in place, as some would have it, in the wake of the Lisbon and Nice treaties to reassure the Irish public at that time that our neutrality will be maintained. Now, there is an argument as to whether or not removing the triple lock or adjusting it actually in any way impacts on our neutrality. It just gives us more scope to do things like, say, for instance, send specialists of security to government officials, or if Irish people need to be taken from a particular area, that we are able to send Irish soldiers out to do that rather than relying on the goodwill of our European neighbours or others. And then there are others that interpret the triple lock as being a safeguard for us not becoming part of an EU army. So I don't think it's as much the triple lock being there or not being there in its current form. The one part of it that would be removed is the UN veto. It still would have to be agreed by government for us to do certain things in the Dáil. Sorry, not government, the Dáil. But I think it really comes down to what the triple lock safeguards us from, or if it were adjusted, what it opens us up to, rather than it meaning removing the triple lock is instantly having an impact on our neutrality as much as it's there, etc. So I think it's really important. I think there's a responsibility from politicians who have a say in that to articulate very clearly what it being there and what it not being there, what the potential implications are, rather than just arguing about it being there or not. On to the Irish Independent now, and page 3, it's a sports story. Katie Taylor, she's in action again this weekend. She's looking to avenge her one defeat. I think she's going to struggle, to be honest with you. Sometimes a boxer comes up against someone that is bigger and at a better stage of their career. And I hope I'm proven wrong, but I think Katie Taylor, I don't know why I can't say her name, I think she's just come up against her sporting nemesis, and I think she's going to really struggle on Saturday. There was still a few tickets available for that contest, €160, mind you, but there was still a couple of tickets available yesterday. But anyway, the Katie Taylor effect was in full view as fans, young and old, thronged to see their idol go through her paces in the ring before her rematch with Chantal Cameron this weekend. Hundreds of fans gathered in the centre of Liffey Valley Shopping Centre to watch as Bray's finest entered the ring for a public workout. The last time Taylor met Cameron in the ring back in May ended in defeat for the Bray boxer, the first of her professional career. Despite the defeat, support for Taylor, who's 37, was undeniable at the event held in advance of the fight. It doesn't matter if she wins or lose. Katie Taylor is a global trailblazer, and her reputation is intact and can't be tarnished. But as I say, I just think Ms. Cameron has her number. And all the will in the world and all the training in the world sometimes cannot, especially in a discipline that they're involved in where knockouts are not really a thing as such. It doesn't happen very often over 2-minute rounds. I just think her work rate just won't be there. But anyway, we shall see. I hope to be proven wrong. It'll set up a third fight in Croke Park, so watch out for some controversial scorecards. Right, the Irish Daily Mail this morning, Councillor Jimmy Guerin has told the High Court that anyone reading online posts by Gemma O'Doherty would assume it was he and not his brother who has been convicted of possessing child pornography. The brother of murdered crime journalist Veronica Guerin was given evidence in his defamation action against Ms. O'Doherty, who describes herself as an investigative journalist. Mr. Guerin said he felt physically sick after seeing Ms. O'Doherty's Facebook and Twitter posts. He told the court he believed Ms. O'Doherty had intended to cause the confusion between himself and his brother Martin, who had pleaded guilty on July 11th, 2019 to possessing 901 images and 140 video files of child sexual abuse. He said he had not spoken to his brother since he learned his brother had been charged with the heinous crime in May 2019. The jury heard that Ms. O'Doherty had not used Martin's first name in her posts on Twitter and Facebook and her internet video broadcast portal Gemma TV on July 11th and 12th, 2019. But she's of the opinion that it's clear who she was referring there. On to the Star this morning, Leo Varadkar said the fact an international body sent a letter to Sinn Féin leader Marilyn McDonald about intimidating legal action against the media is quite a serious matter. Reporters Without Borders published a letter it had sent to Ms. McDonald earlier this week, raising concerns about the fact a party member is pursuing legal action against a journalist. Chris Andrews initiated legal action against the Irish Times and its political correspondent Harry McGee earlier this month. It's understood it's related to coverage of Mr. Andrews' comments about Hamas. In its letter to Ms. McDonald, Reporters Without Borders said it was alarmed by the action. But it depends on what was said, I suppose, as well. I think simply being a journalist, there can't be any actual... You don't have dull privilege. What you say and what you report has to be accurate. So I don't know exactly what comments were said, but I presume they'll be challenged in court. I'm not in favour of it. I don't think it's a good idea, but I mean, it depends what was said as well. The Irish Daily Mirror, there has been an increase in alcohol use amongst young people aged 15 to 24. Data from Healthy Ireland also shows 39% of parents of children under 18 drink at least once a week and 21% are drinking multiple times per week. This is despite public health measures driven by legislation under the Public Health Alcohol Act showing there are improvements in how much we drink in Ireland. However, concerns remain over binge drinking and young people boozing. Statistics showed 24% of the population are considered bingers in that they down 6 or more standard drinks on a typical session. Now, the one thing I would say about these young people too, we can look at the figure 24, but that means that 76% of young people aged 15 to 24 are not binge drinking or drinking excessively, which I think is quite an overwhelming majority. Obviously, anything we can do to reduce it and reduce the harm from it, brilliant. But I think 76% of young people not falling into the category of boozers or binge drinkers is actually really, really quite good. Fair play to young people for making those decisions. The Irish Sun this morning hopes are high that 9-year-old Irish-Israeli girl Emily Hand will be freed from her hostage held tomorrow after Hamas and Israel agreed a ceasefire, though they didn't agree ceasefire because that word is very controversial in these negotiations. It was a truce is what they're calling it, or a pause. After 7 weeks of shocking violence in the war, both sides have agreed to a 4-day truce following interventions from Qatar and the US. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced the warring sides have agreed to a deal with 50 Hamas hostages to be freed, along with 150 Palestinians held in Israel. Children and vulnerable adults will be among the first hostages to be released, with Emily tipped to be among the first to be set free. And Israel is releasing women and children in that exchange as well, who many would see as captives there. Right, a busy morning for the newspapers, but of course it is a Thursday. It is what it is. We'll be back with more, our first guests, in fact, after a break.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the 2022 C-Store National Off-Licence of the Year.
New this week in Home Store and More. All Christmas table linen is half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price Christmas table linen is gone, it's gone. Also, all Cashel Living giftware and all Christmas tree lights are still all half price. But when all the half price Cashel Living giftware and all the half price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Join John Breslin and the Around the Northwest team this Thursday at the Central Hotel, Donegal Town from 12 to 2:30 p.m. ahead of the DLDC Business Showcase event taking place on Friday, 24th of November. That's John Breslin this Thursday live from the Central Hotel, Donegal Town.
To help with the cost of heating your home during the winter months, the Fuel Allowance Scheme is now available. This allowance is paid at a rate of €33 a week for 28 weeks. To find out more and check your eligibility, visit gov.ie/fuel allowance. The quickest and easiest way to apply is online at mywelfare.ie. One payment per household. A Government of Ireland initiative brought to you by the Department of Social Protection.
Have you always dreamed of that free upgrade? Let Loganair make it a reality this Black Friday weekend. Book flights with us by Monday 27th November and get all the benefits of our Fly Flex fare for the price of a standard fly ticket at no extra cost. That's a 23-kilogram hold luggage allowance, upgraded flexibility, and free seat assignment as standard. Travel from 19th February 2024, subject to availability. Excluded routes and terms and conditions apply.
Change is the only constant in business. So whether you're starting or growing your business, our dedicated business teams will always be here to support you every step of the way. Because the best businesses never stop beginning. Search Bank of Ireland Business. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The 9 till Noon Show with the Silver Tassie Hotel, the perfect venue for a Christmas get-together, serving festive lunch, afternoon tea, dinner and drinks throughout December. Follow Silver Tassie Hotel on Facebook and Instagram.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time's 9:22. Good morning to you all, and good morning to you, Linda de Harmon. Good morning, Greg, in the Ireland radio station. I want you all to have a happy Thanksgiving Day from the USA, and we return that to you, Linda. Thank you very much for your kind message. Good to have you tuning in. Okay, Alison joins us now. Good morning, Alison.
Good morning, Greg.
Great to chat to you. Right, okay, we've been speaking to people having awful long waits for appointments in hospitals and some confusion as to when they might get them, if they can get them at all. What was your situation, Alison?
Well, last Wednesday, Greg, I received a letter. It was from the hospital, Letterkenny, and to say that I had to be up in the hospital on Friday morning for 9:15 to the cardiac department to get an ultrasound on my heart.
Right.
So I thought to myself, now, I never told that I needed this. I had been in hospital a few times. So anyway, I had to wait the next day to ring, so I rang up and I said to the receptionist what happened. I got the letter and he had given me name and number because I thought maybe it was a mistake. Mm-hmm. And he went away and I looked it up and I come back and I was kind of laughing and he says, it's not about wonder. He says, you forgot about that. And I says, why? He says, it was a certain doctor in the hospital had referred you for that, and it's 8 years ago.
Oh, my word.
He says you were in 2015, and he says he requested this to be done, and he says that was 8 years, and I knew I was on when I recalled back then. My memory, I thought I was on 2015, but I was never ever told that I needed this. I was never told that they had any concerns about the heart.
But 8 years ago, you were in the hospital.
Yeah,
a consultant referred you for a cardiac ultrasound, and you got the letter to attend 8 years later last week.
Yes.
Wow.
So.
What are you going to do? Are you going?
Oh, I did go.
You did?
Yeah, I did. And they knew about it when I did get up because the wee nurse and all, she was laughing. She said, you waited a long time in this 8 years. I said, I didn't even know that I had to get it done.
Right, okay.
So, that's just my big concern would be, like, someday I need, like, I didn't think that I needed this done. I'm hoping everything's okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, 8 years, Greg, my goodness. You know,
like, I presume a cardiac ultrasound would only be called for if they thought there was an immediate thing that needed to be looked at. Do you know what I mean? Just to scope out what's going on, maybe to, confirm or contradict a diagnosis that they had at that time. Do you know, for your health and well-being. But to get the letter 8 years, I wonder, is that a record? Has anyone else got a letter?
Oh, I don't know.
I think you might be a record breaker, Alison.
And she even said to me, she said, there's this certain test. She said, did you have done, it was the stress test. She says, did you have that done when you were in? I says, no.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was never any concerns there. They hadn't mentioned anything to me.
Yes.
That they were looking, they were concerned about the heart, or I didn't go on with anything. But definitely it was for me, because I thought, have they got something wrong here? No, I went away and the secretary looked up my name, address. They took the wee number that was on it. This is not. It's definitely for you.
My word.
But he says, unfortunately, he says, you're waiting 8 years. I mean, I just thought it was a bit long for somebody that would have been, some elderly person that needs, you know what I mean, 8 years.
I know what you're saying, yeah. I do. I know exactly what you're saying. It's just hard to believe that it's that long. I mean, are you the last on the list? Are there people going to be getting a letter 9 years later? I don't know. It's crazy. That's
exactly. Yeah.
You just wouldn't know. Or did your file fall down the back of a cabinet? Do you know that sort of a way?
I don't know.
You wouldn't know. Okay, Alison.
I wonder.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you didn't need it because you've had to wait 8 years for it and everything comes back.
I've no results back yet. So
as long as you don't have to wait 8 years for them, Alison.
That's exactly what I said.
I think at least you all were able to see the kind of, I don't know, the funny side of it, if you know what I mean. I know it's not funny. I know there's people listening.
I knew there was a wait. So. I knew you always had a wait.
8 years.
I mean, you knew, but I didn't think it would be every 8 years. But sure, I didn't know that I was waiting. Probably if I would have known that I needed it, I would have been getting on to them, But I didn't know I was ever put down for one.
I mean, you could have a child or a grandchild that never existed before and is in third class now. It's in third class now since you were last at the hospital. Anyway, okay.
Okay, Greg.
Fingers crossed all goes well for you, Alison, all right? I'm sure it will.
Thanks very much.
You lasted 8 years, you'll last plenty more. Okay, take care.
That's what I thought.
Exactly.
All right, thank you.
Then bye.
Bye-bye.
Can you beat that? Alison, consultant referred her for a cardiac ultrasound 8 years ago. And she got the appointment letter last week and was able to turn up and go to it. And as I say, hopefully all goes well. But I've never heard of it. That's the longest I've ever heard of. If you can beat it, 086 60 25,000. We have a couple of giveaways this week. So I want to remind you of the first because it's instant today. And it is for a €50 fuel voucher to fuel up at Circle K. So Kelly Centre at the Mountaintop in Letterkenny, they're getting ready for Santa season and are celebrating the community this Christmas, and they'll be working with Little Angels and raising funds over the festive period. They'll have a number of giveaways in store and on their social media, and there'll be golden tickets in store with discounts and a grand prize, and you may see them out and about with a very special guest I wonder who that is. So today, one of you, as I mentioned, is going to win a €50 fuel voucher to use up at your Circle K, whether it's Kelly's or not. And the question is simple. How many days are there in a leap year? How many days are there in a leap year? Send your answer and where your name and where you're from to 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. And that's all you have to do. It's free, simple. And you could be €50 better off. We've already given €150 in vouchers away over the last 3 days. And we have another competition, and it's an all-week competition because it is an amazing prize. And it's thanks to our show sponsors this week, the Silver Tassie. Here are the details.
On this week's show, with thanks to our sponsors, the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa, we're giving you the chance to win their Relaxation Heaven package. This luxurious 2.5-hour package includes an aromatic steam session and cocoon room, a hot towel, foot and back cleanse, an indulgent full body massage, a mini escape facial with scalp massage, all followed up with snooze room relaxation time and refreshments. To be in with a chance of winning this fantastic prize on Friday, simply answer the following question. What is the day after Thanksgiving known as in terms of shopping deals? Is it A, Black Friday, or B, Blue Friday? Text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 25,000.
Your one-stop shop this Christmas. Gift vouchers for the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa are available online at silvertassiehotel.com or from hotel reception. The Silver Tassie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Give joy at Boots with hundreds of amazing gifts available on 3 for 2. We've a huge range of brands like No. 7 Ted Baker and Soap and Glory. And with home delivery and click and collect, it's never been easier to tick everyone off your Christmas list. Boots, give joy. Selected stores and boots.ie, subject to availability. Cheapest free offer ends 24th December. Delivery charges may apply.
Fídorach Kishan, Shaukorach, Piberach Dillon. O hív na haireachta de, cahan mo dargo deargid na rudí will tusa passion to fuha. Ma hacking de agricht le airecht na heden, beide gemach tu cáliche dionta sa alfin guiste takicht de agricht de aireachta. Iritish oscultinish heritagecouncil.ie/funding. Le takicht on reintihechte realtas outjuligas aireachta.
Nutrius Super Beef Gold ATP and Nutrius Max Maize Mix are now on offer at your local Homeland. Buy 10 25kg bags and get one free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. The Nutrius Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product details.
The Hyundai Electric family, designed for yours. The Ioniq 5 with a range of up to 507 kilometres. The all-new Kona with a range of up to 514 kilometres. And Irish Car of the Year 2024, the Ioniq 6 with a range of up to 614 kilometres. Hyundai, our family, designed for yours.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 600.
Hi, Tommy Bow here. Get in store to check out my new 15 Kings clothing collection, available in premium gents outfitters nationwide and at 15kings.com.
Pandora's Black Friday promotion is here. Save up to 30% on charms and jewellery and make this Christmas unforgettable. But hurry, this offer won't be around for long. Ends 27th of November. Available in participating stores and online at pandora.net while stocks last. Terms and exclusions apply.
Here's a sneak preview of your future.
You might soon possibly own something worth a lot of money. Stay tuned to the 9 to Noon Show for more details.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. I'm joined in studio now by Superintendent David Kelly of the Milford District. David, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on.
No, it's good. And we're not talking about crime this time. We're talking about Movember. And a few of you have taken this on board and using it this year to highlight awareness of mental health. And I'll just let people know, because they might hear Movember and it's not always necessarily explained what it is. It's an annual event involving the growing of moustaches during the month of November, and it's to raise awareness of men's health issues such as prostate cancer, testicular cancer and men's suicide. And I was actually, the reason I mentioned that is because a young person I know, I asked them why they were taking part in it, and they says, well, that's what you do. They didn't really know necessarily why we do it. Okay, so talk to us about what the Gardaí have been doing locally then.
Well, I suppose
it's exactly what you say. We're involved in a frontline service. We come across people needing our help. And I suppose it is our mission statement to keep people safe. But what I like about this is we're trying to aim this towards men. Obviously, the issues equally are relevant for ladies. However, men, as we know, don't like to come forward. The macho culture may still be out there. So we're trying to address that and get people to realise there's a great saying out there it's used in terms of suicide prevention. It's okay not to be okay. And that's part of it, you know.
And that's it. And the particular focus of our conversation is on highlighting awareness of mental health because suicides in the county have increased and often maybe the general public aren't necessarily aware of the extent of it, but I have spoken to people within Garda Síochána and other areas in medicine, and individually they're very, very concerned, and obviously that's a concern that you share, David.
Well, it is, both from a work point of view. Sadly, we deal with suicides and the aftermath of that, but I think on a personal level too, I think we all know people, sadly, that have died by suicide, and the effect that leaves for everybody that's left behind. And sadly, our loved one isn't around when that happens. So yes, we want to highlight that. We want to try and encourage people. It's all about Movember. There is if you like, part of it's to raise money to support the initiatives. But more importantly, what I want, and thank you for the time, is to get people to start talking to each other. I think if we don't talk, we don't let our feelings be known, we can't address these things. And I think it's important. Maybe somebody like myself that's a guard, for example, I'm looking at you now with your fine beard, and here am I trying to grow a beard, and people look at me. This last week, for example, I had to do a PR thing for Garda Síochána on the border to do with road traffic.
That's right, yes.
And people were looking at me, that's not the David Kelly I know, like, you know, he's scruffy.
I've been at this for 6 years, you've been at that for 3 weeks, so
and I
don't
tell you
worry
what,
about it.
I have a farmer neighbour that tells me I should get 10-10-20, or another fella said I should qualify for government assistance. But what I'll say back to you is, I don't know how you do it, the itch is killing me.
Yeah.
But again, it gets the conversations going, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, and that is critical, and we've seen, you know, certain areas, different initiatives like men's sheds are very, very effective in fellas being able to come together to have a chat. And there's other initiatives, maybe you might be involved in a sports club or whatever, but there's an awful lot of people out there, and even when they are surrounded by people, feel very alone. And I don't think any of us would want to lose anyone close to us, and I'm on about a friend or a friend of a friend, in the knowledge that maybe if they'd have said, you know, I'm not feeling fantastic at the moment, you know, we want people to say that, don't we?
Absolutely. We need to look for the signals. For example, we've all got friends that are maybe very gregarious, or they're the life and soul of the party. Then something will happen. They start withdrawing. They're not really as communicative. That can be a sign that something's not right. Great opportunity then is to take them aside, go for a cup of tea, go for a cup of coffee, go for a run if you're into, you know, sport together, and just start the conversation.
Yeah, and ask directly. It's been proven that you know, people be afraid of using certain words in case they're triggers or what have you. But the general consensus seems to be ask straight out. Is your mental health okay? How do you feel? Because every life is incredibly valuable.
Absolutely.
And what worries me is that sometimes maybe people get to a point through not speaking where they don't realise how important, how valuable they are, and how there's not an awful lot we can't overcome. There's very, very little that we can't overcome with conversation and support if needed, medication if it's needed, but we can overcome pretty much everything. We're very resilient, aren't we, David? And if anyone is feeling in that space, you know, I can't emphasise enough how important they are, no matter how they might feel otherwise, and how we need them, and we need them to come and speak to us, David. And I don't know anyone who wouldn't want someone to say, you know what, I might need a bit of help here.
Absolutely. And you just kind of outlined there the initial first aid for somebody that's in that position. We know about first aid if somebody gets a cut or a broken arm, we know what to do, or the collapse, the recovery position. But for example, there are programs out there, you can access them through the HSE websites, for example. There's Safe Talk, and it's exactly the TALK. You tell somebody you value them, you care for them, you love them. Men don't normally say that very much to each other even, you know. Ask how they're getting on, and don't be afraid to ask the question. And if a person tells you, keep going, because it can be uncomfortable when we're asking questions. People may feel, what do I do next? But same as any other topic, explore it. Ask how they're feeling. Ask if people are saying, I'm really down. Why are you down? And have you done anything to try and help yourself? What can I do to help? Or things like that. And ask the question, are you planning to take your own life? And that's a very important question to ask, because the answer you get may be not what you want to hear, but could be vital in helping that person. Listen to what they're saying. And listening is more than just the words. It's how they're reacting. You know, the non-verbal communications, for want of a better term, are they feeling uncomfortable or giving images of being uncomfortable, yet at the same time telling you everything's okay. Consider that. And ultimately, it's about keeping them safe. If you ask the question, are you thinking of committing suicide? And the person outlines yes. Ask them, have they planned for it? And the answer is yes. Then you need to help those people by bringing them to the appropriate people for advice and help.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be afraid, as you say, to have that conversation, because, you know, we obviously have to highlight on programs like this and others as well where there are gaps in certain elements of you know, our healthcare system, but that should never discourage someone from seeking help, because be it your GP, the ED, or whatever it might be, or then the great support groups like Pieta and Samaritans, they're all there and they're all staffed and they're all waiting to take their calls. Men's Aid Ireland is there as well. If you feel that there's things going on in your life, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's access to your children, maybe you're just feeling like, you know, there's no solution to this, the likes of Men's Aid Ireland deal with that. They can speak you through it or whatever. You know, there is a lot of support there initially, and everything can be overcome. Pretty much everything can be overcome. So it's just a case of having those convos, David.
Absolutely. Like, you know the old saying, it's darkest before the dawn. And it really is for people that are in a bad place. They can't see the light. They can't see hope. So it's important for them, even if they just take a step back, what seems to be vital now, with the passage of a short period of time, may not be, and they may see a road out of it. And that's what I'd be trying to get across to people as well, you know.
Yeah.
And as you rightly said, maybe people don't want to talk to somebody in their family or a friend, but there are other people they can talk to. You mentioned Pieta House, you mentioned Samaritans. The phone book is there, the internet is there. There's plenty of help out there in that regard.
Yeah.
And even ourselves.
One thing that I thought really quite interesting, and I'll come back to the guards as well and their role, David, because that is an important element to this as well. Men's Aid, we were speaking to them earlier in the week. Was it this week? It was 10,000, almost 10,000 men had sought support from them, suffering domestic abuse or whatever it might have been. But their computer programs show that men, they ring maybe 2-3 times and hang up, and then the call connects on the 4th or the 3rd. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So we need to get people making that first call, because I'm thinking those people have got to the point, right, I'm going to call, and then they back out a couple of times. You know, we need to get to people, men particularly, because we're talking about Movember and it's targeted particularly at males, to actually make that first call and to stick through it and to realise that that's the beginning, hopefully, of the end of how they're feeling.
Absolutely. It's funny, a lot of men will do things to help other people, but not themselves. We're afraid to take that step. And I don't know, is that increased since COVID? But I feel we're all not the same people as we were before. And maybe we're not as patient, we're not as tolerant. We can't concentrate as well. You hear the thing about, isn't it, the brain fog? All these things are feeding into society now, which make pressures or feel our mental health is in a worse place than it was before. So getting back to that again, if you feel you're going to make the call, stick by it. You're generally what you're thinking is the right thing to do if you want to reach out. That's your body saying reach out and ask.
Talking to all men here, but particularly I want this to resonate with men in their 40s and 50s. All men, don't get me wrong, but particularly men in the 40s and 50s. There's been a situation, how do you talk about this? But you have to talk about it. There's a situation where there's too many men of any age, but particularly the 40s and 50s, that seemingly, you know, everything's going well for them or what have you, and then out of the blue, they take their own lives. And we really need to impress on them as well to have the conversation, to make that call, to speak to a mate, whatever it might be, because that's the best chance of staving off anything really, really bad happening, because there's so much fantastic life to live going forward. Coroners at the moment are undergoing a piece of work to try and get a true grasp of our suicide figures, single vehicle collisions, whatever it might be, because obviously it's such a sensitive time after a suicide that you can't talk about it, right?
Yes. So
it would be really useful for us, not for you as a superintendent, to have a very strong anecdotal knowledge of what's going on. I don't. Someone else doesn't either. That we have some figures and we can maybe be more coordinated in targeting this, if you know what I mean. Do you get where I'm coming from? That I'd love us to have a better grasp of it so that we can say, like we say, for instance, with road traffic collisions, we know the devastating loss of life, but we feel we can target it, reduce speed limits, you know what I mean? I just really wish we had proper, solid figures that means we could target money in the right place and resources, David.
Absolutely. I suppose I was looking at statistics myself on a general basis, and I looked at the Central Statistics Office, and the most recent figures they have available published are for 2020, believe it or not. And these figures are just accurate, if you like, up to a certain date in 2023. I think it's June or July 2023, and I'll explain that in a moment why. But for the year 2020, there were a total of 465 suicides in Ireland. Of that, men were 73%, or 338. Female were 27%, at 127 people. That's phenomenal. That's more than one a day when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I put the caveat out there, those figures are only right as of, say, June this year, because inquests can take time. And with the results, the figures are lagging behind.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it just shows it's not a straightforward area. Yeah. But again, the figures are too high.
Yeah. And all inquests don't count all suicides either. Is
absolutely
the point. So you're one a day. You know that is what we know.
Yes.
Anything else you want to talk about, David? I think you've covered an awful lot there. But I mean, I presume you came in here with a couple of strong messages that you wanted to get across. So I'll leave it to you, David.
Yeah, well, I suppose suicide again. It's in everybody's lives out there. We've all got a connection to it. Be aware of our friends, and people, even people we don't know, come across. You might see signs, and they could be reaching out to help to you. Mental health again is out there. Similarly, there is a stigma a wee bit around that, but it is beginning to change. I think. I just mentioned COVID. People are more. They know they're more. What's the word? It's not tender, but we're not
sensitive,
or maybe vulnerable.
Yeah,
we're not the same as we were before.
Yeah.
I think. That's something, maybe a good thing, just also in cancer as well, please, if I may, just for male, because cancer kills massive numbers of people throughout the world, never mind Ireland. But two big areas for men in particular. One is prostate cancer. If we can do some work around that, generally the older man from 50 on, if we can get people to get themselves checked regularly, it's not hard to do. And prostate cancer for the younger men, believe it or not, under 25, tend to be hit. And again, know your bodies. And don't be afraid to get them the treatment.
Check yourself in the shower as well, for early signs of testicular cancer.
Absolutely.
As well. And look out for the key signs with prostate cancer. But as you say, there are tests you can get in the GP that can identify that. And the earlier that it's identified, the better their outcomes. There are great treatments for that stuff now.
Absolutely. And I suppose if I can finish up, if it's okay, which is to highlight, there's an event in Milford on Monday night. It's been organised by Declan Meehan from the Milford and District Resource Centre, and it's geared again on men's health. It's been held at 7 p.m. on Monday night in the Gallowglass Community Centre, and there'll be 3 speakers at it. Bill Vaughan from Mental Health Ireland, Dr. Pádraig McGuinness, a local GP, and Kevin Dooher from the Wild Atlantic Traveller. And he's very much, and he's a group of friends are involved in promoting Movember, as indeed there are people all over Donegal. If you log on to the site, you will see that. There'll also be a number of stalls there covering various men's health issues. So we're inviting any man to come Monday evening, to get involved in that and listen. And there'll also, I suppose I'm a Cavan man, I'd like to hear about this, there'll be free blood pressure tests on the night for anyone that wants one.
You're not doing much to stop these stereotypes, are you? Declan's on with us in the Friday panel tomorrow, Declan Meehan, and I'm expecting to see a very, very luxurious bushy moustache, and if not, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed.
Well, thank you for saying that of him and not me.
Yeah, no, you're all right. You did all right. You're not doing too bad at all. You can have we'll let you shave in a week. Is that
Can't
all right,
wait.
David?
I cannot wait.
All right, listen, thanks for that. I really do appreciate it. That's Garda Superintendent David Kelly of the Milford District. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'm going to come back with a few numbers that maybe something in you has been aroused in terms of saying, right, okay, maybe they're talking about me, or maybe that's me, or maybe I'm finding myself going down that pathway. Maybe you find yourself you're withdrawing into yourself a little bit, or you just don't feel the same way as you used to, or maybe you don't see the future as you once did. And now's the time to maybe reach out and have a convo with someone. It costs nothing, and it won't set you back. It'll only set you up. So I'll come back with some of those numbers and contacts after we take a break.
The 9 till Noon Show with the multi-award-winning Silver Tassie Hotel. Planning dream weddings for generations. Email weddings at silvertassiehotel.ie for a brochure or your private show around.
Have you always dreamed of that free upgrade? Let Loganair make it a reality this Black Friday weekend. Book flights with us by Monday 27th November and get all the benefits of our Fly Flex fare for the price of a standard fly ticket at no extra cost. That's a 23 kilogram hold luggage allowance, upgraded flexibility, and free seat assignment as standard. Travel from 19th February 2024, subject to availability. Excluded routes and terms and conditions apply.
Christmas boost for beef finishers. Inside this week's Farmers Journal, we reveal how factories are scrambling to fill festive orders. Sheep mart prices jump by up to €5 a head. Climate shaming farmers is unfair, says Taoiseach. The latest on new long-term land lease tax rules. Roundup of the best tractors from the world's biggest machinery show. Mart managers hit out at TB proposals that could restrict cattle trade. And why hill farmers should be paid for managing the uplands. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. On sale now.
Easy Living Furniture present their massive Black Friday sale with huge discounts of up to 60% off. That's right, up to 60% off everything until Sunday. With absolutely everything reduced, including sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses, and with 0% interest-free finance available with no deposit, the choice is easy. Black Friday sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
Nutrius Super Beef Gold ATP and Nutrius Max Maize Mix are now on offer at your local Homeland. Buy 10 25kg bags and get one free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. The Nutrius Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product details.
Donegal Local Development Company is hosting a showcase event celebrating Donegal businesses in the Central Hotel, Donegal Town on Friday the 24th of November from 1 to 7 p.m. This event is free to attend and features the best local startup businesses. Find your perfect Christmas gift, perfect tradesman, beauty product or outdoor adventure, and much, much more, all in one place. Come along and support your local businesses and find out what's newly available in your area on a day that's guaranteed to be fun for all. Make celebrating Donegal businesses your business on November 24th. For more, visit dldc.org.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Breezy and mostly cloudy this morning with rain and drizzle through the afternoon and evening. Drier, clearer weather will push down from the north. Highest temperatures of 11 or 12 degrees. Owen McGee is a financial planner and author of How to Be Good with Money. Good morning to you, Owen. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you on board. Right, the government yesterday signed off a plan to increase PRSI over 5 years to replenish the social insurance fund. Under the plan, there'll be incremental increases in all classes of PRSI. Were you anticipating this, or was this kite being flown prior to this announcement, or did it take you by surprise?
We're all anticipating change. We're not sure when. I wasn't sure that it was actually going to land yesterday, but we all know there's a big problem. Like in my world, we know this is a big problem. People often look at PRSI and think, excuse me, 1 second. That's better. People often look at PRSI and they think it's a tax. It's not a tax. PRSI is an insurance policy that you're taking out with the state, and you pay it. And what's great about it is that it's actually quite specific, and it's separated off from ordinary income tax and everything else. And it's used for things like your old age pension. If you become unemployed, it pays you an unemployment benefit. If you become sick, it pays you. There's a whole range of benefits that it pays out. And our problem is we have a hole in the pot. And the pot should have about 250 billion more in it than it does right now. So there is a big financial hole there where if we all needed to draw on it, we could be in trouble. And that causes other issues, because you look down the line and you say, you know what, is the old age pension actually sustainable? Mm-hmm. And we've looked at moving the age from 66 to 68, and then they said, oh, we're not going to do that because they were worried about doing that. They left it at 66. And the reality is right now we have 5 people working for every 1 person retired. So those 5 people pay PRSI, and out of that PRSI, all the benefits are paid, including for the 1 retired person, and that's how the system works. By the time we get to 2050, there'll be 2 people working for every 1 person retired. The maths just don't work, so they needed to make change. And the change they've decided to make now is they are going to increase how much the individual and the employer pay from October next year. And it's going to increase by 0.1. So that's 1/10 of 1%. Okay. The average earner, it's going to cost them about 46 quid a year. Okay. Extra from next year. That's about €1 a week. Now, that's going to happen that year and the year after. And then it's going to go up by 0.15, and then it's eventually going to go up by 2.2. So it's going to, over the next 5 years, we're going to see a gradual increase in what we're paying for both the employee and the employer. And what that's hoping to do is to protect that 66 retirement age.
Yeah.
But it also is providing a different benefit as well. The other benefit it's going to do is it's bringing us in line with kind of some other systems across the world in terms of if you become unemployed. At the moment, if anyone becomes unemployed, they get the same benefit paid to them. Now, under this new scheme, what's going to happen is if you're unemployed and you were paying PRSI for long enough, 5 years, if you've been paying PRSI, you will get an unemployment benefit that's somewhat linked to the wage you used to be on. So you could get up to 60%, maximum €450 a week in the first 3 months, and then it reduces, I think, to 325 or down to 300. So it's kind of a tiered 3 months, 3 months, and 3 months, and then you go to ordinary social welfare benefits for unemployment. So these changes are needed. They've hit us with one side, and they've given us a kind of a carrot on the other side. It's a bit of carrot and stick involved.
And €46 in the first year. I mean, it's clever enough in how they've done it, because to some extent they've kicked it. We don't like to think too far ahead, do we? So 46 next year, but the increments, over the course of this plan, it will cost us quite a bit of money every year.
So it's an extra 46 quid next year, 46 the following year. Now we're at 100. The following years it's 1.15, so that'd be €70. So now we're up €170 another. So now up to 240, and then the final one would be 2. So it's about 340. Then that's off the top of my head, about 350. Let's call it 360 quid. 30 quid a month extra.
Exactly right. Okay, so it's not insignificant either. And we also have to hope. We also have to hope that we don't find ourselves in a situation where the government raids this fund again, because they took €653 million out of it 20 years ago. Some might feel we're actually just replenishing what they took out already.
Yeah,
it's can't be a government slush fund. This is about being able to retire at 66. You know what I mean? You have to be able to trust the state not to dip their hands into this little fund.
And this is where it becomes incredibly important, particularly over the next year or year and a half, that when people are knocking on your door and looking for your vote and they're reaching out to you, these are the types of questions that people are, I'm about to pay more PRSI. How can you assure me, or how can your party assure me that you're not going to do some of the things that have happened in the past? Because taking €600 million out of that pot 20 years ago, if that was invested and looked after and it was still in there, it would make a massive dent in that 250 billion shortfall that's in the fund right now. We also have to be careful as well. Remember, this isn't being hit on employees, but it's also being hit on employers. And employers are doing the matching. They will do their increase will go. At the moment, the employers pay 11%, 11.05% is what it is. When we take into account, there's a new thing coming in next year, people may be aware of it or not, auto-enrollment, right? So what auto-enrollment means, and we could talk about this all day, right? But auto-enrollment in simple terms means for most people in a job now, they will automatically be put into a pension. They'll have to put something into it, and the employer will have to put something into it. Roll forward 5 years, these PRSI changes and the auto-enrollment changes that are coming in mean an employer is going to go from about 11% to around 16, 17% per employee is what they're paying out now between pension contributions and PRSI contributions. We are in a very unusual circumstance in Ireland. The employee pays 4%. And actually, if you look at the North even, they pay 12%. Like, there's a lot of less burden on the employee here compared to most developed countries around the world.
Okay.
And I wonder, could the volume not be turned up?
Well, don't be giving anyone any ideas, Owen. Listen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it. Great to chat to you. I'd love to chat to you again, maybe in a longer form in the future.
Can I have 1 minute just to talk about a new TV show I have coming?
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
New TV show coming out in RTE1 in the new year. It's consumer-related queries. So what we want, if you're having an argument or trouble or problems with a company and you just need an expert to help, we've got 3 journalists, Conor Pope, Siobhan Maguire and Amy Malloy. We have a team here that want to take on your queries. Maybe you had a wedding disaster with the band or the photographer, or maybe you've had a problem with scams or something else has gone on. This is your opportunity to get a team team behind you to get this fixed, and it's your best opportunity. Don't worry too much about the details. Send us a quick email, consumer@indiepix.ie. That's INDIE pix.ie. Just send us your contact details, a brief summary of what's going on, a one-liner on what's going on, and we'll be in touch with you.
Indeed, and we spoke to Conor about that a couple of weeks ago, so good to get a reminder. Thanks for your time.
Brilliant.
We'll be back after the news and obituary notices.
Christmas party nights at the Silver Tassie. Drinks reception, 4-course festive meal, live music by the Logues, Jim Devine, and more power to your elbow. For dates and bookings, call the Silver Tassie Hotel, proud sponsors of today's show.
At the Central Statistics Office, we're trusted to gather all sorts of information. So, we count lakes, stakes, and haulage intakes. We count wages, ages, and all of life's stages. We count loans, phones, still living at home. We count euros and cents and housing and rents. We count Mars, electric cars, and the price of a jar. Because this data informs important decisions on everything from economic activity to housing policy to what to call a new baby. And we can't do it without you. CSO, count on us. We count on you.
Santa Claus speaking.
It's me, Santa, your trusty elf. I've got an urgent message from Cooney's Christmas shop.
Oh, my golly goodness. What's happening at Cooney's?
Well, Santa, they've gone all out this year. Their Christmas decor is bigger and better than ever.
Visit Cooney's Christmas shop, Letterkenny Retail Park, and feel the magic of Christmas. Santa approved.
With our Black Friday sale, get 20% off everything, excluding current offers, and Sunday.
Check out these special offers at Simpson's Supermarket, Letterkenny. There's Lion's Original Tea Bags, 160s, €4. Nicky Toilet Roll, 32-pack, €10. Fairlog 10-pack, €12. And there's Neil's Flour 3 kg, €3. See our massive range of goodies for the Late Late Toy Show Fest. Plus, we are now taking orders for your Christmas turkey. While there, check out Peggy's Kitchen Cafe for great food, tea and coffee. Only 2 minutes from Letterkenny Hospital. Simpson's Supermarket. Great value every day.
New this week in Home Store and More. All Christmas table linen is half price. But better hurry, because when all our half-price Christmas table linen is gone, it's gone. Also, all Cashel Living giftware and all Christmas tree lights are still all half price. But when all the half-price Cashel Living giftware and all the half-price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
GiveBlood.ie know we can count on you, our community of blood donors, to be there for others in their hour of need. Blood donors from Ballybofey and Dunlow should attend the clinic in Jackson's Hotel in Ballybofey from Tuesday 21st to Thursday 23rd of November. Making an appointment is recommended. Regular donors can now visit our website or call 1-800-731-137 to book a time. New donors are vital. Visit GiveBlood.ie to check eligibility and clinic details, because we count on you.
It's time to give your favourite bar, pub or music venue the recognition they deserve. Nominate now for the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards at highlandradio.com. Hurry, let's celebrate excellence together. Nominations close on December 13th.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. The Redress Focus Group for Banking and Insurance is urging homeowners affected by defective blocks to contact their lender before proceeding with any remediation works under the scheme. This is to ensure the works will restore the home to a mortgageable condition. The group's belief is that the principle should have been at the heart of the government's redress scheme. Patrick Sharkey of the Banking and Insurance Redress Focus Group says outer leaf replacement options are of particular concern.
What we want people to be aware of is that the various solutions, mainly the outer leaf replacement options, have not been checked with the banking sector in relation to restoring mortgageable condition. So we're keen that people would be aware that the outer leaf options may not necessarily restore the mortgageable condition, and we would urge people to contact their banks before proceeding with any such work.
€4 million has been spent on private ambulances at Letterkenny University Hospital over the last 3 years. That's according to figures reported in the Donegal News. The highest spend was recorded in 2021 with €1.7 million. 2022 seen a €1.4 million spend, while up until September of this year, €1.2 million has been spent on the provision of private ambulances at the hospital to date. The Taoiseach says the potential release of Israeli hostages is still happening, but probably not until tomorrow. The deal includes the release of 50 hostages in Gaza in exchange for 150 Palestinian prisoners. Leo Varadkar says it's still not known if Irish-Israeli girl Emily Hand will be one of those to be let go. He says there's also the talk to the proposed 4-day ceasefire could be extended.
Can't imagine what a traumatic experience like that is, being held captive in a tunnel away from your family. So hopefully she's out in the next few days. And, you know, maybe I'm a foolish optimist, but if there can be a ceasefire for 4 days, maybe there can be a ceasefire for a longer period. I think it's possible that there's some suggestions that it could be extended if more hostages are released.
A Donegal senator has opposed a European proposal which could see drivers over the age of 70 having to undergo refresher courses. If the European Commission gets its way, it would mean motorists over 70 would be required to have regular medical tests and courses to renew their driving licence. Fianna Fáil Senator Niall Blaney says it's discriminatory and we already have adequate measures to ensure older drivers are safe.
Those over 70 go through tests on a 3-yearly basis. I think the system we have works really, really well, and actually the evidence is there to support that. We do have issues in relation to safe driving practice in this island, but it doesn't relate to those in the age bracket of 70s.
A special meeting of Donegal County Council has been told that the council is on track to deliver 1,268 housing units in the period from 2022 to 2026. That's ahead of the target of 879. Donald Kavanagh has more.
In terms of in-house developments, yesterday's special meeting heard there are 11 schemes either complete or under construction involving a total of 169 units. They include developments in Dunfanaghy, Loughnure, Annagry, Donegal Town, Buncrana, Lifford, Letterkenny and Bundoran. A further 145 units will be provided in projects which are at tender and detailed design stage in Letterkenny, Buncrana, Dunloe, Rafo, Kilcar, Glenties and Creasla, while 125 units are at planning stage in Tammany, Stranora, St Johnson, Lifford Common and Killybegs. Turnkey acquisitions in which the council buys houses or whole estates built by a private developer are expected to bring in 307 units, with the possibility of more. The meeting was told that other acquisition methods are being pursued to bring the authority to the figure outlined, with members saying the current housing crisis demands the provision of as much social housing as possible.
There are more details of the schemes outlined on our website, highlandradio.com. Donegal had almost twice the number of farm safety payment claims submitted than any other county in Ireland. 288 claims from the county were submitted under the National Farm Safety Measures. The Irish Farmer Journal says this represents 20% of all submissions and includes 269 PTO shaft covers and 308 quad helmets. Breezy and mostly cloudy this morning with some rain and drizzle. Through the afternoon and evening, drier, clearer weather will push down from the north. Highest temperatures of 11 or 12 degrees in fresh to strong and gusty westerly winds at first, easing moderate to fresh later. That's all from Highland Radio News. The next news update will be at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. For myself and the news team, good morning. The obituary notices this Thursday morning, November 23rd. The death has taken place in London of James McCurter, husband of Margaret Doherty Billy, Ballymena Kilkenny Malin. James's remains will arrive in Muff Village at approximately 10:45 a.m. today, going to the home of his sister-in-law Mary Doherty Billy, Ballymena Kilkenny, where you're welcome to pay your respects to the family. Funeral Mass for James will take place tomorrow at 12 noon in St Mary's Church, Lag Malin, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. The death has occurred of Deirdre Gallagher, 4 Ard Crana, Gortley, Letterkenny. Deirdre's remains will repose at her late residence today from 2 p.m. Funeral from there on Saturday morning for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m. in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, followed by interment in New Leck Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family time from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. The death has occurred of Willie Harkin, 189 Drumlega Road South, Newton Stewart, reposing at his late home. Funeral from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 for Requiem Mass at 2 p.m. in St Mary's Church, Dregish. Interment afterwards in Dregish New Cemetery. The death has occurred of Jackie McCready, Ballinacor Crossroads, Killygordon. Remains are reposing at the family home today. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. for service of Thanksgiving in St Anne's Parish Church, Monellin, Crossroads, Killygordon at 2 p.m. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family time from 10 p.m. until 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. The death has taken place of Charlie Robinson, Gortalaban, Letterkenny. Wake will take place at the family home in Gortalaban today, strictly from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m, with family time please at all other times, and tomorrow, the day of the funeral. Funeral service will take place on Dunfanaghy Presbyterian Church at 12 p.m. tomorrow, followed by burial in Gortley Cemetery, Letterkenny. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice and the Oncology Unit of Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
This Christmas at Super Value, we have great offers to help you share the magic, like Super Value smoked salmon 300 gram half price, selected goodies like Cadbury large bars, Club and 7up 2 litre, and O'Donnell's sharing crisps, any 3 for €4. Plus, get money off vouchers every week on the Real Rewards app too. Share the magic this Christmas with Super Value.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. Great to have you on board. Just to remind you that you can watch the show on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland. That's on your smart TV if you're getting one Black Friday, or your Fire Stick if you have one already, you know, to watch YouTube and stuff. And also across your mobile devices. We're on Facebook too, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport. Okay. A caller says, "Morning, Greg. I don't think Alison's story is one bit funny. It's disgraceful. There's a perfect scenario for you to put to Stephen Donnelly tomorrow, Greg. Indeed. But I take the lead from Alison, and she saw a funny side to it. So I went with her tone because it's her story. But I take your point. Of course it's not. But sometimes things are so ridiculous they're funny. But not funny, haha, but funny seriously. But I take your point. A caller stuck in a tailback going into town. That's Letterkenny, presumably. You know it's the Letterkenny because people call it the town. If it was Buncrana, they go Buncrana Town, Dunlow Town, Donegal Town, but Letterkenny's just the town. But apparently it's back beyond Leck Cemetery, which is quite inconvenient. Micheál Martin might be under the influence of NATO supporters by trying to unlock the agreement and slowly edge us to get involved in a European army. Greg, I was referred for keyhole surgery on my shoulder for damage caused as the result of a car collision. I was told by my consultant on the 4th of February 2015 that he would do it right away. I'm still waiting. 23rd of November 2023. 8 years. Well, maybe you could break Alison's record there. The problem is you don't know you're sick. You're going through stuff day in and day out, and you don't know it's a problem until it explodes on top of you someday. And that's to do with your mental health. And I know when you're saying you don't know you're sick, but you know something's different. And so what we're saying is if you feel like you're going, the day-to-day grind and things are wearing you down and you're just not as interested as you were in certain things, that's the sign. And if it were a physical manifestation, we would know it more clearly. So we have to learn to understand that our mental health is 100% is perfect, and then down to 0, right? We have to say, right, I'm at about 60%, and I've been at 60% consistently, and I just don't feel the way I used to. That's the time to have a chat to someone. Well done to Superintendent David for speaking out about the number of suicides in the county. It's beyond sad. What a waste of precious lives. So some details for you, and there's loads of numbers, some amazing people. I've spoken to lots of these people for different reasons over the years, and they are sitting there often of their own free time looking to help and speak to people. Aware Ireland, it's a free phone number, 1-800 80 48 48. If you want to go on social media, Mental Health Ireland, Instagram, Mental Health Ireland, Facebook, mental.health.ireland. Pieta, it's a free 24/7 crisis helpline, 1-800 247 247. But maybe you prefer to text 51444. You can text them there as well. I live in Urris. This is day 3 and no water. It's ridiculous. I rang the council and Uisce Éireann / Irish Water, but no answers. And this is happening every other week. Recently, a real joke. Ask Greg, could he please highlight this? Thanks. I mean, it's absolutely... Listen, it's hard to get information. I do try and get information, but it is really hard to get information sometimes as to what is going on. And sometimes it's posted randomly on Twitter, sometimes not posted at all, but you can sign up to an app, which I'll get the details for, where you do get notifications of these things. So I'll just run through. Repairs to a burst water main. This is in Donegal. Effects applied to Tober O'Neill, Calhame, Spring Hill, Backland, Ballindrate and surrounds from 10:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. today. Let's see what else we have here. As part of National Leak Reduction Programme's main repairs works, it may cause supply disruption to Ahayavogue, 5 points, Killybegs and surround areas. That's from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. on the 1st of December. Let me see if there's anything relating to Urris here. As part of the National Reduction Works Programme, mains repair works may affect supply to Ardravon, Buncrana and surrounds from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. on the 29th of November. That's ages away. I don't see anything here in terms of, immediate problems. I'll keep looking during the break, but I just don't see anything here just at the moment. 21 hours ago, we're currently investigating reports of a supply disruption to Baville Road, Pound Street, Clonch Avenue, Carraria Road, Carndonagh and surrounding areas. More information to follow. That information never followed. That was 22 hours ago. And on it goes. I'll see, as I say, if I can find something that is specific to the area that you are in. But it's frustrating, I know. We come to rely on water. Right, just to give you a reminder here that Kelly's Centre at the Mountaintop, they are getting ready for Santa season. They're working out in the community, of course, and they're working with Little Angels to raise money. They've got giveaways in stores and on the social media. They've got a golden ticket initiative in store with discounts, and you may see them out and about too with a special guest. We're giving away a €50 fuel voucher to fuel up at your local Circle K, be that Kelly's or other. And it's a simple question: how many days are there in a leap year? It's one more than there is normally, isn't it? So how many days are there in a leap year? You answer your name and where you're from. Simple as it's a free WhatsApp number, of course, 086 60 25,000, or the SMS 086 60 25,000, and you could win that voucher before the end of today's programme. And heading into the bingo numbers, because it is jackpot day as well, another reminder of our lovely week-long quiz in association with our friends at the beautiful Silver Tassie.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 23rd of November, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €6,000 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S14. It's game number 47. The jackpot number is 89. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers: 20, 9, 7, 2, 64, 86, 54, 61, 81, and finally 42. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
It's beginning to look a lot like a National Trust Christmas. See the auguries sparkle on the new winter illuminations trail. Wrap up for the return of Roallan's beautiful Yuletide market. Hop aboard the road train and visit Santa at Castle Cool with Cancer Connect NI. Follow the festive trail and settle in for story time in the bookshop at Mount Stewart. Come and enjoy the cosy Christmas village at Castle Ward, and you'll find gigantic Christmas spirit at the Giant's Causeway. For an unforgettable Christmas, search National Trust NI.
Have you always dreamed of that free upgrade? Let Loganair make it a reality this Black Friday weekend. Book flights with us by Monday 27th November and get all the benefits of our Fly Flex fare for the price of a standard fly ticket at no extra cost. That's a 23 kilogram hold luggage allowance, upgraded flexibility, and free seat assignment as standard. Travel from 19th February 2024, subject to availability. Excluded routes and terms and conditions apply.
Declan loves a leisurely Sunday drive, even on a Tuesday, ignoring all the angry honks of people trying to get home from work. You see, with Dunstores Click and Collect, Declan is never in a rush. He can order online and collect his groceries at a time that suits him. From online grocery shopping to buy me same-day delivery, there's a way to shop for everyone at Dunstores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Buy me is subject to location and availability. Minimum spend required.
Black Friday sale now on at the Cope Dunlow. Massive savings in our clothing departments. 50% off selected ladies' jackets. Up to 50% off selected dresses and jumpsuits. There's 20% of all clothing in store and online. See the Cope Dunlow on Facebook and Instagram for more.
Christmas party nights at the Silver Tassie. Drinks reception, 4-course festive meal, live music by the Logues, Jim Devine, and more power to your elbow. For dates and bookings, call the Silver Tassie Hotel. Proud sponsors of today's show.
On this week's show, with thanks to our sponsors, the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa, we're giving you the chance to win their Relaxation Heaven package. This luxurious 2.5-hour package includes an aromatic steam session and cocoon room, a hot towel, foot and back cleanse, an indulgent full body massage, a mini escape facial with scalp massage, all followed up with snooze room relaxation time and refreshments. To be in with a chance of winning this fantastic prize on Friday, simply answer the following question. What is the day after Thanksgiving known as in terms of shopping deals? Is it A, Black Friday, or B, Blue Friday? Text or WhatsApp your answer name and address to 086 60 25,000.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Sarah O'Connor, Director of Partnership and External Affairs with the Road Safety Authority. Sarah, thanks for your time this morning. Good morning to you.
Morning to you and to your listeners.
We're speaking about really quite important statistics, and some that may come as a surprise to some people, because the RSA's analysis of road traffic collisions data has shown that between 2018 and 2022, 8% of drivers were killed and 12% of drivers seriously injured while driving for work. So how do you categorise those? Is that like people who drive for a living or people commuting to and from work, I wonder, Sarah?
Yeah, it would include both, Greg. So it would include people who are driving for work, who are commuting to and from work, but who are also driving professionally full time, where that is the role of their job. It may also include somebody, for example, who might be driving down the country to a meeting, and that meeting is for a work purpose. So would it include all of those, Greg? And I suppose the piece that's very stark in my mind when we looked at the data and when we held our Driving for Work webinar yesterday, obviously what we're talking about there is that 8% of the victims of a road, a fatal road collision, were driving for work. But if you look alongside that, 23%, so almost 1 in 4 of those who were involved in one of those fatal collisions were somebody who was driving for work. So I suppose what it does is it really strongly brings our attention and requires the public to bring their attention to the fact that if you are driving for work, whether that's the commuting action, the going towards a meeting, or driving on a day-to-day basis full-time as part of your job, you are at increased risk of experiencing a road safety collision and an increased risk of one that may involve a serious injury or may involve a fatality.
Yeah, and
Nobody leaves their house in the morning, Greg, and wants either to get hurt themselves or to hurt other people. And so it's really important that, I suppose, we bring our attention to it and that we think about what that really means.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not in any way trying to undermine the statistics. I hope you understand, Sarah, but a lot of this period is covered by COVID, where much of the traffic on the road would have been people who were allowed to travel for work purposes or what have you. Does that in any way affect these figures?
It actually doesn't in this instance, Greg, in that what we're looking at is a really good longitudinal piece of research. So it covers a 5-year period, and the 5-year period it covers is from up to 2019. So it's 2014-15 up to 2019. And the way we get that data for people to understand is we work very closely with the coroner's courts, and it looks at the results of the coroner's report. So it actually precedes COVID. So what you're seeing there is the full picture up until before COVID hit. And so it's a really insightful piece of work. Now, obviously, patterns may change, and sometimes they change temporarily, and you look at a longer piece of work, but it does give us a really good picture over a long period of time. And so it's quite insightful from that point of view.
Yeah, and I think too, and fair play to you, because I think you're like me, you're a bit of a hero here working through a cold, because I'm getting no credit for doing it, so I wanted to give you some credit.
I'll extend the credit to you
on this Thanksgiving Day, Sarah. But there are, you talked about trends. There are some interesting trends as it relates to the behaviour of drivers who drive for work. So we won't go through those, because that's also a really interesting piece of information, I think.
It is, and it's pretty stark, I think. So I suppose, look, some of it comes back to complacency. When people are driving for work, they may be very used to the route, they may be used to their commute, they may be very used to driving for very long extended periods of time if driving is their role. And there's, I suppose it tracks across a number of behaviours that are quite problematic. So, for example, in terms of speed, when we look at our speed studies, where we have set locations and we track the speed of different vehicles across those locations, just purely to get an understanding of what speed people are driving at. 30% of HGV drivers, for example, are speeding on motorways. 75% of HGV drivers are speeding on rural roads. So speed is a factor and speed is a problem. And when we look then in terms of attitudes, there's a really interesting piece in the puzzle that our team have been able to pull out. They spoke to drivers to establish their attitudes and behaviours. And when they did that survey at the end of 2021, for example, they found that they noted a few problematic behaviours. So some of them would be speeding more than 10 kilometres in a 50k zone, speeding more than 10 kilometres in a 100k zone, overtaking the car in front of you even when it's keeping appropriate speed. Have you ever fallen asleep, or have you ever nodded off? How often do you use your seatbelt? And have you ever driven a vehicle after consuming any alcoholic drink? So all of those would be pieces for any of us to have some concern about in terms of driving behaviour. And obviously we looked at all motorists, but what we saw is when we looked at all motorists and we compared those who drive for work, in each of those instances, the person who is driving for work is almost double, in some instances, 50% to double as likely to undertake that problematic behaviour. So what it really says to us, I suppose, is there is a big piece of work that we need to do to help and support people who are driving for work to realise that these behaviours are very problematic. They're potentially risky for themselves and for other people. And I suppose for ourselves in the RSA, we speak to victims of road safety collisions all of the time, but we also speak to people who are involved in road safety collision and who have to live with the impact of knowing they've hurt themselves if they've hurt somebody else for the rest of their life. And that can be devastating and deeply traumatic, as well as for the person who has experienced it. And nobody in the course of their working day wants to hurt somebody else. So it's about us bringing attention to these things and thinking about, well, what is our relationship with speed, and what's our relationship with speed if we drive for work?
Is it possible to, Sarah, or do we need to look at whether drivers are under pressure through work? There are rules and regs with lorry drivers, and I get that, right? But, are they being said, look, you have to have that load in Monaghan by 1 o'clock, or, someone who's delivering parcels saying, look at, all those parcels have to be delivered today. Rather than it being, now that's no excuse, right? But do we have to make sure that these, a lot of these drivers don't feel under pressure from their employers? And
totally, yeah. It's not, this is not a pointing the finger exercise. This is let's look at what the data tells us and figure out what the solutions are underneath it. And one of the solutions is obviously for people to be aware of the behaviour. But another solution is for employers to know their role, to recognise that they may be through work targets, work pressures, be putting people under intense pressure. And that came through really loud and clear on yesterday's Driving for Work webinar, and I'll take you through that in a second. But for example, one of the pieces that was raised really organically by policy, by people who are, you know, and a lot of the people who were on the call yesterday manage fleets, they're HR managers, so they're thinking all of the time about their person who's driving for work. And one of the questions that came through from a number of people was, well, what about Teams calls? What about the expectation to be on a video call while you're driving? If you've been at one meeting, you're traveling to another, and to take a Teams call in between. And the need for companies to have really good and robust health and safety policies, and for that health and safety and wellness stuff not only to be something that people do as a webinar on a monthly basis and are sharing, but actually that your Driving for Work policy is orientated towards safety and wellness. Like all of the statistics show, and all of the panelists yesterday were really universal in saying, like, if you are participating in a video call while you are driving, you are distracted, full stop, capital letter. And for any of us who've ever done it, we know ourselves, we may be feeling under intense pressure to do it, but you get out of the car after you've done something like that, and you know that you were not the best driver you've ever been.
No, because the reason I prefer to do an interview like this, Sarah, rather than over telephone line, is because I'm looking at your expressions, and you know if I ask a question, how you will give an initial reaction, and I know if it's an appropriate question or not, and you just simply can't do a video call whilst driving. I wouldn't have thought. No. Now, I don't want to distract you.
And pressing the mute button and the unmute button, and should I say something now? And I disagree with that person entirely. Like that is a 7-way piece of your brain taking part in that, and that does not equate to somebody being absolutely committed, observing everything that's happening, checking their mirrors, knowing their own speed, double checking that they're driving at the correct speed. Like that those things do not co-function in a safe and positive way. And I suppose what's really interesting then is it does have to be a hand-in-hand piece about employees feeling safe to say that's not a safe behaviour. You don't want me doing that. I'm risking our work reputation as well as my own safety and that of others. And you also want work policies to reflect that, and for HR sections in companies to say, actually, we don't expect you to do that. We want you to get home safe in the evening and come back to work tomorrow feeling good and positive and happy.
Yeah, we speak to the RSA about issues like this. So this is driver behaviour. Another issue when it comes to the cause of road traffic collisions can be vehicle, the performance of the vehicle, whether it's NCT'd, whether it's safe, whether it's adjusted. Do you think the RSA needs to do more, and pardon me if you feel it's doing already, to discuss road conditions? Because that's another important third factor. And I'm thinking of, all the water that's lying on the road because local authorities aren't blocking drains, hedge cutting that's taking place and branches all over the place, potholes that aren't being filled. Like, do you think the RSA needs to do an initiative, if it hasn't already, where the pressure is put on that third factor, the condition of the roads, to ensure that, those of us that do drive as safe as we possibly can and have our cars in good condition, are helped out with that third strand of the cause of road traffic collisions? Because sometimes I think the condition of roads gets a bit of a pass on this in this conversation.
I probably parcel out 3 different pieces in what you're talking about there, Greg. The first parcel piece is the condition of cars, right? And while other people curse the NCT, I will happily sing its praises, because last year the NCT did 2 million car tests, and over the course of those 2 million car tests, they found 85,000 what are called fail dangerouses, which means there was a car on the road that literally should not have been on the road. And that is the purpose of the NCT, is to capture that and to make sure that person doesn't leave in a car that is going to endanger them or to other people, right? So that's one piece of the puzzle, and that's part of our whole government road safety strategy, is based on 7 safe pillars, and safe vehicles is one. Safe roads and safe road conditions is a second one, and there's 2 pieces within that. One piece of it is the road itself being in good and appropriate condition. Now, that is not the responsibility of the RSA. Like, we have no legal mandate in that. That falls within, let's say, the local authorities, TII and the NTA, depending on the type of road that's involved. And that is really important. I do know that that's a high priority at government level, to make sure that we're identifying roads that are particularly dangerous, that that data is fed into the local authorities, that they can prioritise works accordingly, and that they get the appropriate budget. I think that's really important. And I think the third piece of what you're talking about is that we drive to the speed appropriate, either to the weather conditions or the road. And what I would say to people there is, absolutely acknowledging that some roads are not in the best condition we would like them to be in, but we cannot drive on a hypothetical road. Any of us, and I'm from South Tipperary, right? So I'm from a rural part of the country. I cannot drive in parts of South Tipperary as though it's on a motorway. So if the road is bendy, if we know that there are potholes, which hopefully will get repaired, we have to slow down and we have to take that into account, for ourselves, our own safety, and for the condition of our
again, with respect, I think unfortunately the local authorities are getting a complete pass in that, because you don't always know the roads that you're driving on, and I think there is a big responsibility for local authority TAI to ensure that roads are safe and passable, and I think that's an important strand, and I don't think they should be able to sort of say, well, your driver should have known that the roads might be crap.
Oh, sorry. Just to be clear, I mean, of course, it's really important that we're investing in that, and I know that's a government priority, and it is being discussed on a constant basis. And I suppose the challenge for local authorities is to make sure that they are matching the data and the information with the spend, and to make sure that that's going in the roads that they can best target.
Well, unfortunately, they spend the roads here, money on roads here, depending on how much roads you have in any particular municipal district. So it's not spent on need. It's spent on keeping councillors in different areas happy. But I take your point. We'll tease that another day. Finally, a couple of people question. I think this might have come up in the past. Well, I know it's come up in the past, but I think it might have come up more recently. Does the RSA have a position on maximum speed limits? Like, in other words, not maximum speed limits, I beg your pardon. Maximum speeds cars can travel, i.e. topping them off at 100, for an example.
You mean the speed review, Greg? Is that what you're asking about?
In other words, so like we have cars at the moment, speed limit's 80 kilometres an hour, but your car can do 220 kilometres per hour. Does the RSA have a position on limiting vehicle speed? Sorry.
I suppose one of the pillars of the road safety strategy is how we can using technology to have the speed limit talk to the car. And that's one of the things that's coming down the line in 10 and 15 years' time, for example. I think that'll be really something that is much more operational and normal. Not all of the cars in our car fleet would be capable of doing that at the moment. I suppose part of that is an engineering challenge, and it's about policy that will come from the Department of Transport in terms of what will be limited in terms of car engineering. So I suppose policy is led by the department in terms of that kind of work. From our point of view, we're very fixated on people knowing what the speed limit is, knowing what the safe speed on a particular day is, and that was one of the keys that I was going to tease out with you there, Greg, is what's really important is that people are really aware of, for example, weather conditions and the impact that can have in terms of speed. So the speed limit is not a target. It is, in fact, it is an aim that you drive at an appropriate speed to the weather conditions. And I suppose we invest significantly in radio campaigns around that. I know the government have put their Winter Ready campaign, and the focus is all about road safety this year. And really for people, it's about, do I have to travel? I shouldn't, never drive through a flooded road. You have no idea what's going on underneath the surface of the water that you can't see. Making sure that you're slowing down. And for me, for example, I've had the experience of over the last number of weeks where for weeks or for days after we see, very serious road safety collisions where we've seen devastating loss of lives, when I'm out on the roads myself, and I'm sure your listeners will have observed this too, I see people slowing down. When it's hail or when it's rain, I see people slowing down. And then when that slips from people's minds and they're not thinking about it much, a week or 10 days later, when their brains have moved on for it, they're still continuing to drive at a speed that isn't safe for the weather. And that's something we just have to really dig into, each of us ourselves, in terms of our daily behaviour, because it's key to safety.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm looking over your right shoulder there, Vision Zero, no road deaths or serious injuries by 2050. I think the reality of that is, and we see the use all the while growing, is automated cars that drive themselves, your Teslas and all. I think that's the solution, because I don't think we can rely on us as humans to take the appropriate measures to ensure that's the case. Listen, thanks for your time, Sarah. Appreciate it. Take care. Sarah O'Connor there, Director of Partnership and External Affairs with the Road Safety Authority.
The 9 till Noon Show with the Silver Tassie Hotel, the perfect venue for a Christmas get-together, serving festive lunch, afternoon tea, dinner and drinks throughout December. Follow Silver Tassie Hotel on Facebook and Instagram.
Find a Volkswagen commercial vehicle that can keep up with you and your business, like our Caddy Cargo, Transporter 6.1, Crafter and the new Amarok. With HB finance from 4.9% and service plans from €12.99 per month. There's never been a better time to get a vehicle that works as hard as you do. Book your test drive now at your local Volkswagen commercial vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie. Here's to the Volkswagen in you.
Terms and conditions apply. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Visit volkswagenvans.ie for further information.
Order your 241 with Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny. See connellys.ie. Harkins have been providing customers with quality fireplaces, stoves and electric fires for over 30 years. And now you can experience the elegance of luxurious worktop from Harkins. Their experienced craftsmen can fabricate marble, quartz or granite worktops to your specification. So, if you're planning a new kitchen or bathroom or upgrading your existing one, Harkin Fireplaces can provide a quote for your quartz, marble or granite worktop. Visit their showroom in Ballybogan, Lifford or call 9141109 or visit them online at harkinfireplaces.ie.
From the luxurious to the sustainable. Supporting Irish makers also means choosing quality that's designed to stand the test of time. In a world of fast fashion and disposable items, it's the lasting connection we make with these beautiful products that finds a special place in our hearts. Find something you love forever at madelocal.ie. Made local, made to last. Supported by Design and Crafts Council Ireland and me, Lyra.
Easy Living Furniture present their massive Black Friday sale with huge discounts of up to 60% off. That's right, up to 60% off everything until Sunday. With absolutely everything reduced, including sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses, and with 0% interest-free finance available with no deposit, the choice is easy. Black Friday sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Santa's elves, listen up. If a kid's playhouse is on your little one's wish list this Christmas, Dealside Garden Furniture has you covered. Explore our range in various colours and sizes, including the Dreamy Barbie Dreamhouse Pink. Orders close on December 2nd. Find us on social media, Dealside Garden Furniture, or call 087 11 24 766.
Good morning, Greg. I was listening to people's views on disabled parking. I have a son with a disability. He travels as a passenger as he cannot drive himself. Sometimes I'll come out of a shop before him and sit in my van until he's ready. I just want to make people aware of this. I know disabled parking is abused all the time, as I see it myself, but sometimes it can be someone waiting on the disabled passenger. Thank you. And it's a very good point. And it's a point I've tried to make myself in that, is it possible that... So, yes, worth noting. Hi, Greg. I parked in behind AIB and nearly got a ticket from a traffic warden. When I said I had a half an hour, the warden told me it's only 10 minutes in car parks. I don't think there's a sign stating this, as I would have bought a ticket. I would like to thank Martha and Catherine in the ICU in Altnagelvin for the care they gave my brother, Robert Hegarty, who passed away on Tuesday after he had a heart attack on Sunday. The care they gave him was second to none. That comes in from Pius Hegarty. I'm very sorry for your loss, Pius, but happy to pass on that word of thanks on your behalf. Right, Alan Tees is a member of Columkill Climbers Club and Donegal branch of Mountaineering Ireland. Good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us. Right, now you're appealing to people to stop painting arrows on rocks on Muckish Mountain. Is that what's happening, or what is happening? I haven't heard of this before.
Yes. Yeah. No, there were arrows painted on the miners' track on Muckish back as far as 2020. And we went up a bit of that stage and scrubbed them out, and they've reappeared this year. About the miners' track, sand, silicone, high quality silicone sand was dug out of Muckish back nearly 100 years ago, and the facility that the workers getting up there, there's this path goes up the north side of Muckish, very spectacular. There's nothing else quite like it in Ireland.
This line's terrible, unfortunately. Can you move at all, maybe to improve the reception? I wonder.
I'm ringing. I'm in Inishowen. Going to get out of Inishowen somewhere here.
I see what you did there. All right, come here.
Right.
We'll stick with it. Okay. Just because I'm actually finding this really quite interesting. Why are people painting on the stones? Or why? We know why they did, but why is it happening now?
Yeah, well, we're not absolutely sure. That's the question. There is a race which runs over the tops of the mountains, which has started recently, but we don't think it's anything to do with that. The feeling is, I've talked to local people, they think it's another local person who's put these arrows on because he feels it would be worthwhile from a safety point of view. This is a dangerous path. People could get lost. But the problem is there are far too many arrows on it. There are arrows every 10 metres or so, big white arrows. And there is a thing called leave no trace, where you go to the mountains and you don't leave a mess, you don't leave litter, you don't paint arrows, you don't write graffiti. And, you know, if people do that, then it spoils the experience for other people. Now, excuse me, what we have done is that there's a couple of places on the path where you could go wrong. We have left the arrows there just for safety reasons, but we've taken the rest of them off.
Yeah, and so it sounds like it potentially is well intended, but it's not actually having that effect.
That's what I think. Yeah, that's what I think. Somebody who doesn't know.
And this has the ability to confuse people, of course. And you know, I mean, there's so many arrows all over the place. You wonder, well, where do I go, or what do I do?
Yeah, well, the arrows are pointing, you know, in bits of the path, which is perfectly obvious, straight path running up. There's an arrow point on a rock on the bottom pointing up the hill. 10 metres up, another big white arrow pointing up the hill. These are unnecessary. There's a couple of switchbacks on the route where somebody who wasn't paying attention could actually walk past the bend, but we've left those arrows. So I don't think it's affected the safety of the route in any way. Now, having said this is a wonderful path. There is, as I said before, there's nothing quite like it in Ireland. It is unique, and we need to value these places.
Yeah, for sure. And as you say, leave no trace behind. So even if it is well intended, you're being asked to desist. And a bit of work in getting them off, I presume, as well. You were part of the team trying to remove them.
Yeah. Yeah, I seem to pick the worst day of the year. The twice I've done it has been driving drizzle and low cloud. But you know, what we did was we used as little artificial stuff as we could. We put a bit of a dab of paint remover on the way up, and then on the way down we wire brushed them, and the paint remover had sort of dissolved the paint, so it was easier to scrub off. So if you look close, you'll still see an arrow there, but you can't see it from 100 metres away anymore.
No, and nature will take care of the rest, I imagine.
That's what I think, yes.
Yeah. Okay, Alan, listen, it's just a wee reminder out there, if someone has to say, even if it's well intended, just leave what's there is there. It's not helpful and not necessary, and it's causing people like yourself to have to go up and sort it out. Alan, thank you.
Yeah, that's the message I wanted to put out. Thank you.
Lovely stuff, Alan. Happy to do it with you. Alan Tees there, member of Columkill Climbers Club and of Donegal branch of the Mountaineering Ireland. They're appealing to people to stop painting arrows on the rocks on Muckish Mountain. It's unnecessary graffiti, they say. They're going to have to clean it up and have been cleaning it up. There is signs there, so the arrows aren't needed, and just completely and utterly unnecessary. But maybe you're a person, anonymously if you wish, who's been involved in that. Tell us the logic for it, or why you believe that was happening. Maybe that might be helpful. It was the anniversary of JFK's murder yesterday, and we put it out there, assassination. We put it out there if you had any recollection of it. And I didn't get to the messages yesterday, but before a break I can catch up on them here. On the 22nd of November 1963, I was a young boy with my father in a neighbour's house where all the local men had gathered for a game of cards, which was a regular thing back then. When news came through on the wireless, not the radio, the wireless, that President Kennedy had been assassinated, there was visible disbelief in the house. The card game broke up as everyone was too distraught to continue. Outside, the men gathered in groups to discuss how such a tragedy could happen. It was as if it was a close relative and friend who had died. It's a really well-worded message, actually, that paints a great picture. Thank you so much for that. Another, yes, Greg, I remember Kennedy's death 60 years ago. I was 4 years old. My father and mother called us all into the house to listen to the radio. We had no TV. My father shed a tear as all his brothers and sisters had emigrated to America. Kennedy was the great Irish hope, and it was seen as a sad day for Ireland. Both of you, thank you for that. We had another from a gentleman yesterday who heard the news whilst he was in Derry. Can't remember his name, but we appreciate him messaging in as well. Hi, Greg. Could yourself or Brendan Devaney discuss or recommend good sports books or biographies for Secret Santa? Well, we're getting to that period of time, okay? And every year we do if you want to buy a book, we bring an expert in and talk books. Maybe there's someone out there who's got a big interest in books or sports books that wants to get involved in that as well. No issue there whatsoever. But we will be talking about various gift ideas as we edge closer to the big day, closer to the big day. We'll not leave it too late either, but we certainly will be discussing book recommendations. Right, let us take that break, I promised.
Your one-stop shop this Christmas. Gift vouchers for the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa are available online at silvertassiehotel.com or from hotel reception. The Silver Tassie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
If the season changing has you feeling blue, just wait till you hear our amazing Black Friday deals. Get a Toshiba 32-inch TV was €220, now €169. Perk up with a Tassimo coffee machine was €99.99, now just €39.99. And snack on these savings with the Progress 3.2-litre air fryer was €60, now just €30. Tesco. Every little helps. Club card required, subject to availability while stocks last. Available in most stores. Prices vary in express stores. See tesco.ie.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
Workwear at Borderland Muff. Skiwear at Borderland Muff. For fashion jeans, winter coats and footwear. Christmas and Ski Wear Club now open at Borderland Muff. Stocking Columbia vans, Apache Snickers and more. Open 7 days. Borderlandmuff.ie.
Hi, Tommy Bow here. Get in store to check out my new 15 Kings clothing collection, available in premium gents outfitters nationwide and at 15kings.com.
Stay warm for less this autumn with Homeland. 5-pack wood logs, buy 3 for €13. Hardwood log crate 450 kg, only €329. Nationwide delivery available. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie. Special offers at Meehan's of Rafo. Men's bootcut jeans, only €35. Stretch jeans also available. Tough stuff trousers, only $29.99. There's a large selection of diesel hoodies and half zips. Also stocking shirts and jumpers up to 5XL. Meehan's of Rafo. Gift vouchers also available.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, you're looking for the weather forecast, or we're looking for the weather forecast. I can tell you that breezy and cloudy this morning with rain and drizzle. Through the afternoon and evening, though, drier, clearer weather will push down from the north. Temperatures 11 or 12 degrees and fresh to strong and gusty westerly winds at first, easing moderate to fresh later. So, of course, I think all shows like this around the country talk about scams, because there's lots and lots of people being extorted of lots and lots of money. Most people go, oh, well, sure, it's obvious. There's a link in the text and I just delete it or whatever. But from time to time, we do get caught out. They throw out thousands and thousands and thousands of these scams. Some are simple, some are elaborate. They don't need all of us to fall for them. They just need to catch us off guard. I've been very close. People close to me have had money taken from them. People that you could say, in inverted commas, should know better. But they're getting very good at taking our money and they know how to catch us out. Matt Britton joins us on the programme now. Matt, how are you getting on?
Not too bad. As you know yourself, Greg, I'm in hospital here in Dublin at the moment in time, just after surgery.
Right, so, okay. I wasn't aware of that. I hope it's not too serious, Matt.
Well, it was on the back. It was a very, very serious operation, but very, very successful.
Oh, excellent.
I have a little bit to go yet, but very successful. Great team up here.
Brilliant. So you'll be out and about and on your feet really soon. That's good to hear, Matt. Right, okay. So as I say, you know, you know the story with scams and all, Matt. I do. I've nearly been caught out. I know people close to me who work in media, they have been caught out. They catch us off guard. They caught you off guard, did they, Matt? Or was it so elaborate that you couldn't see it to be a scam? What was your situation?
Totally, even the bank thought it was elaborate and couldn't understand how they did it.
Right.
I tell you what happened without putting it too long, Greg. I got a call last, I think, Friday. We'll just say it's Friday, for example. And they told me, hi, Matt, you know, they had my name, etc., etc. Your account is in danger of being compromised, and our agent will call you during the week. So they give me a week's notice to say that I was going to be called. Anyway, as it turned out, later I got this call from this very, very well Dublin 4 spoken guy, and he didn't take any of my personal details. He didn't do anything like that. He just sold me this, shall we say, plan that they could protect us from any scams, etc., 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 etc. Now, the interesting thing is that within the 4 seconds, he was taking numbers off me, but not numbers that I was familiar with. Do you know what I mean? Random numbers.
Yeah.
But during that 4 minutes or 4 seconds, he was actually punching them into a computer in his side, and they were part of the scam. He was getting into my account.
Wow. So maybe, you know, what's the last 2 digits of this code? Oh, right. No, sorry, that hasn't worked. What's the first 2 digits? Stuff like that.
No, it wasn't that.
Wasn't, right?
It was just anything at all. No, it was just kind of what random numbers have you? You know, it was random numbers.
Right, okay.
6, 7, 8, 9, bump, 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 you know, whatever.
Yes.
And they seem to have set me as a target at this stage in time, because this morning in hospital, I got another one. You got a call from Revolut and Amazon. I don't deal with either.
Right.
Don't deal with either.
But Matt, what's really worrying about this? It's like slowly catch your monkey, if you know what I mean. Is the investment in time, like planting a seed well in advance of a follow-up call? You know, having a what you might see as, you know, an accident that you might expect. You know, I mean, that's going to vary from person to person. But they really invested in this. This wasn't just throwing out a text message hoping you click a link.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that you might click on it. It might interest you. And the one that promised you extra security is a bit ironic, really, isn't it? That, you know, I've never been scammed, to be quite honest with you. This is the first time and the first attempt.
And they were able to take funds from your account within seconds, you know, and have you been able to recoup that, or how have the bank and what have you worked with you?
I'll give you that. Now, recoup funds, and I was going to actually tell you something. I don't have money. You know what it's like to be a journalist. We all have a few bob, but we don't have a fortune.
Nothing to spare.
No, well, not 5,000. And that's what it was. You know, they were able to take $5,000 out, but the interesting thing was that it was within the 4 minutes or the 3 minutes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They got it out as they were talking to me.
Wow.
You know, so it's the girl from the bank, she was very honest. She says, I can't understand how this happened. She said, you know, it's very unusual. We don't know how it happened. But again, the good side of the story is they managed to...
All right, the lines just dropped there just as we were getting to the good side of the story. I'm going to wait because I want to know what the good side of the story is. Matt, are you there? The good side of the story is... Oh, no. Hopefully the money was returned. Matt, thank you for that. I believe the money was returned. And I know Matt wants to thank AIB, Dublin and Donegal, the Gardaí and family and others who helped him out in that situation. But I believe, and we'll just get a double check, because we've run out of time now before 11, that the money was returned to Matt. It can be reversed. I had €94, much less than Matt, taken from my account. Don't know how it happened. I was with AIB as well, as it turned out, and they did refund the money in a day or two as well. Okay, good news. Last reminder for you today of our competition in association with Kelly Centre at the Mountain Top in Letterkenny. They're getting ready for Santa season. Getting ready, they're in Santa season, and they're celebrating community and working with Little Angels and raising funds over the festive season. Check in store for some great promotions, golden tickets and what have you. They're going to be out and about with a special guest as well. And there's a lucky listener today going to win a €50 fuel voucher to fuel up at Circle K, your Circle K. And the question is simple. How many days are in a leap year? Text your answer, your name and where you're from, to 086 60 25,000. WhatsApp or text for that matter. And it's as simple as that. You have nothing else to do. And I think we actually even have a bigger fuel voucher to win tomorrow. So please, if you want to be in with a chance of winning that, answer that simple question. It's one day more than you'd normally expect in the year. You could be the winner of that €50.
The 9 till 9 show with the multi-award winning Silver Tassie Hotel. Planning dream weddings for generations. Email weddings@silvertassiehotel.ie for a brochure or your private show around.
Má tá tú ag iompar cluine, tóirí de vaccíní flu agus COVID-19 an breisiú atá ag testáil do chóras na mínachta chun tú a chosans na mína macróin. Jéadú an flu agus COVID-19 a bheith mar cúist le tinnis trom chúiseach agus tú ag iompar cluine agus cabhróid a chuid vaccíní leat tú féin agus de lenah a chosans. Cá cruinne vaccíne de lista de rudí atá le déanamh agat. Nó leir le de chuchtúir nó le de bhean cabhrach. Tuile ólas ag hsc.ie ó aimimenacht na Services Láinte.
Basket weaving, falconry, uilleann piping. When it comes to heritage, we put our money where your passion is. If your organisation supports Ireland's heritage, you may be eligible for a Heritage Organisation Support Fund grant. Applications now open at heritagecouncil.ie/funding. Supported by the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
Screwfix Black Friday deals end soon. Save €100 on the Bosch 18-volt impact driver bare unit. Now only €64.95. And get the Titan 20-litre wet and dry vacuum for under €60. For more Black Friday deals, shop now. It's not too late. Deals end 27th November. Delivery charges apply.
New this week in Home Store and More. All Christmas table linen is half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price Christmas table linen is gone, it's gone. Also, all Cashel Living giftware and all Christmas tree lights are still all half price. But when all the half price Cashel Living giftware and all the half price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Enter the Milford GA Club Development Draw online this week and be in with a chance of winning 10 free tickets for Black Friday. Top prize is a BMW 330e M Sport. Draw takes place on the 30th of December. Tickets available at milfordgadraw.ie.
It's the Christmas cracker we've all been waiting for. Join Highland Radio for a star-studded Christmas concert on Monday the 11th of December in the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Starring Michael English and his band, Claudia Buckley, John McNichol, rising star Jack Keogh and myself, David James. This is a Christmas night out not to be missed. Tickets €25 available from the Mount Errigal Hotel reception or online from the outlet at highlandradio.com. Dinner, bed and breakfast packages also available. That's the Highland Radio Christmas concert on Monday the 11th of December.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
All right, loads coming up in the next hour, including Minister Anne Rabbitte in studio as she's up in Donegal for a number of engagements. We'll be speaking to Ms. Rabbitte and so much more besides over the next hour. But at 11 o'clock, let's get a news update. It's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The redress focus group for banking and insurance is urging homeowners affected by defective blocks to contact their lender before proceeding with any remediation works. It's to ensure that works will restore the home to a mortgageable condition. It's the group's belief that the principle should have been at the heart of the government's redress scheme. Patrick Sharkey from the Banking and Insurance Redress Focus Group says the outer leaf replacement option is of particular concern. €4 million has been spent on private ambulances at Letterkenny University Hospital over the last 3 years. That's according to figures reported in the Donegal News. The highest spend was recorded in 2021 with 1.7 million. 2022 seen a 1.4 million spend, while September up until September of this year seen €1.2 million spent on the provision of private ambulances. The Taoiseach says the potential release of Israeli hostages is happening, but probably not until tomorrow. The deal includes the release of 50 hostages in Gaza in exchange for 150 Palestinian prisoners. Leo Varadkar says it's still not known if Irish-Israeli girl Emily Hand will be one of the ones to be let go. Donegal had almost twice the number of farm safety payment claims submitted than any other county in Ireland. 288 claims for the county were submitted under the National Farm Safety Measures. The Irish Farmers Journal says this represents 20% of all submissions and includes 269 PTO shaft covers and 308 quad helmets. As of mid-November, approximately 50,000 homes, farms and businesses in Donegal have had a smart meter installed. The National Smart Metering Programme aims to help customers use electricity more efficiently, reduce consumption or choose smart meter tariff from their supplier, meaning more control over electricity costs. ESB have now successfully installed 1.5 million smart meters nationwide. And finally, repairs to a burst water main may cause supply disruptions to Tobert O'Neill, Calhame, Spring Hill, Backland, Ballindrate and surrounding areas. A traffic management plan will be in place for the duration of the works, which are due to finish at 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's recommended that an allowance of 2 to 3 hours after the estimated restoration time is made for supplies to fully return. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back again with the next news update at 12 o'clock. Until then, good afternoon.
Thanks very much, Donna Marie.
Whether you're adventuring, salsa dancing, or you just popped out for some milk, you're not always home. With Unpost, that's not a problem. You can set up a safe spot for us to put your deliveries when you're not in, or rearrange delivery to your local post office. And if something's not right, you can quickly return it with a collection from your door or drop at your local post office. Online shopping made easy with Unpost. Unpost for your world.
086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. You're tuned to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. And don't forget, tomorrow we have a cracking show lined up for you as well. We have our Friday panel discussing some of the big stories of the week. We're always open for you to suggest what you'd like us to talk about as well. Don't worry about that. And that's entertainment after 11 as well. So no excuse not to tune in again tomorrow. Hi, Greg. We got our landline's phone bill last week, and I see that we phoned the local dispensary 3 times. And although they didn't answer, we were still charged for the calls. Is this a new thing? As we were never charged for unanswered calls before. What an interesting question. I haven't heard tell of that before. Now, did it connect and goes, unfortunately, the dispensary is unavailable at the moment? I don't know if you got a warning like that. Maybe that would justify a charge because effectively the call is answered. I don't know, is the honest answer. The lady from the RSA is on about road collisions and stuff. If a car needs an NCT, do the roads not need a safety cert to say that they're safe to drive on? It's been a wee bit of a hobby horse of mine that I do think that sometimes we need to be talking about the conditions of roads and what they contribute to collisions. But it seems to be the line, and I'm not saying this is what's coming from Sarah, is that, you know, you should know how bad the roads are or how good the roads are and drive appropriately. Greg, the road from Termon into the back of Ergal is dangerous at night. Most of it has no road markings, quite dangerous in these weather conditions. Another caller says, I drive a bus and I see lots of people on the phone and texting every day. I wish they'd cop themselves on. Is life that busy? It takes 100 concentration driving without all that silly stuff and distractions. A caller says, why is this country voting against the people? We do not want to help Israel. Has Israel got something on them? People do not want politicians to vote this way. They're not voting for Ireland, they're voting for Israel. Now, I'm not really quite sure what that's referencing. I think the Irish government has been perhaps the most vocal against Israel. I'm not sure what vote you're talking of, so please enlighten me a little bit further on that one so I can fully make sure. That text that's going around, just to remind you again. Hi, ma'am. My phone broke down. Text me back on this. None of my family call me ma'am. That's how I know they're not mine. The text number is different to the number that you've to call. Yeah, of course. because the idea being that mum or mummy or whatever you might be called, they don't text dads. Maybe we don't text back, do we? But anyway, the idea being that you believe, you panic and you think, oh, it must be from a friend's phone. And that's how the scam starts. Again, they can send hundreds of thousands of those messages out. They only need 0.1% of people to fall foul, and it justifies their efforts and their expense. Where is the proof that over 70s are causing road collisions? Over 70s now have to go for tests to prove they're safe to drive. As far as I know, it's the young people involved in collisions. It's across the board. I don't think we can necessarily point to any particular age group and say they're responsible. Statistically, I mean, you know, you'd have to factor in how many young people are driving versus older people and all that as well. HGV drivers are not speeding on motorways. There's a speed monitor on the lorries. It's not fair to say a car can break the speed limit on the motorways. There's nothing there to stop them, but lorries can't. Indeed, of course. But there are ways and means around everything as well too, so I'm sure it does happen. But listen, it wasn't having a go at lorry drivers there. Right, okay. We are joined in studio now by Minister for People with Disabilities, Anne Rabbitte. Anne, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today. How are you keeping?
Good.
Oh, perfect.
Good now, thank you.
You're a pro. You know where to put the mic. Okay. You're up in Donegal for a number of engagements. Anne, talk to us a little bit about that.
All right. Yes, it's great to be back in such a short space of time. So I'm going down visiting your neighbours. No barriers straight after this. Where we're launching the Down Syndrome Champion Programme. And I think I ran a Rethink programme there a few months ago, and No Barriers came out as a very successful, not just applicant, but actually what they're doing. And their programme in relation to inclusivity of persons with Down syndrome and having a programme for it. But also the last day after leaving here, I also saw the amazing rehabilitation work that they're doing down there. And they have I'm going to pronounce it wrong, so don't give out to me, the exoskeletal suit that they have down there. And I also learned about, not just from them, but from how their training is done from DCU and the connection that they're having with ATU. Like, phenomenal rehabilitative work going on down there. And to be honest with you, they're nearly ahead of the game in the sense I'm creating community neuro teams. I need them now. They're the other layer. So they're ahead of where actually policy and delivery is, and I have to complement them to no end. So we're going down there. And after that, then I'm going over to visit the Community Inclusion Hub here in the town in Letterkenny. And afterwards, I'm meeting with the parents in Donegal group read the CD&T issues.
Just in relation to that, Minister,
yes.
I mean, I know you have answered questions on this in the Dáil from Donegal politicians. That was driven by a small group of women that came together and said, look, we need to organise because we're all fighting our battles individually. So they came together and they formed this group which you're meeting with, which I think is just amazing credit to those people. And they put the pressure on the politicians to raise the issues with you. And the one thing about you, Minister, is that you get it, right? When they're speaking to you, you say, I know that's the problem. I know we need to get rid of panels. I know we need to do this, that, and that, right? That type of stuff, I sat and I watched. That's how dedicated I am to this job. I watched you respond to this stuff, right? But what we want to see now is sort of action. So those words, it's great. We don't just need you on board, right? We need you to use your position of power to actually start affecting change. So what can you do?
All right. So to be honest with you, this has gone to the 11th hour. So it's good. I understand. So where's the delivery in it? What is the solutions? And to be very fair, I was briefing Charlie McConaughey as late as 10:30 last night. I says, I have a Donegal solution, Charlie. I have a Donegal solution. And he was delighted. I only rang Edel on the way up. So people are hearing this for the first time. So this is new. So I met with Bernard Gloucester at 1:00 yesterday. I says, I'm going to Donegal. I said, Bernard, the panels need to go. I need the panels scrapped. It's not working. That's what the CD&T staff told me the last time I was here. And he says to me, what will that create, Minister? I says, I need people. I need people in Inishowen. I says, I need people in the west and in the north of Donegal. I says, Donegal, I says, can't get staff. I know the hard work that Edel has done here in relation to the internal and recruitment. They've taken it to themselves. So he said, how about I open up the panels completely and I allow an expression of interest for Donegal. Just Donegal. And I said, all right, how does that work? He says, you requested, so we've the letter gone. I've requested the CEO of the HSE to open up all the panels for Donegal. So I could have people living in Galway who is waiting to come back to Donegal, and they could be number 37, but they'll wait because it might eventually come. So in actual fact, Donegal is after coming out. We're after finding, as opposed to breaking panels, I'm actually doing an expression of interest. That expression of interest is going to open up across all where we have deficits: OTs, physios, speech and language, psychology, social work, social care, whatever. We're dietitian. We're going to open it up. Edella's laying bare, as you can see here in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
She's laid bare with me just as I arrived. That's all my vacancies. So we're actually going to open up the panels completely as an expression of interest for Donegal. So whether if you're 31 or 99, if you're interested in coming to work in Donegal, we want to hear from you because you'll get that interview.
That's a huge step forward. We don't. It's undeterminable what that will do to meet the needs, though, isn't it?
I'll be honest.
Not experiment. It's experimental to some extent. We don't know what because people have to say, actually, do I really want to do that, or what? You know what I mean? So.
Oh no, totally. But I think what first and foremost here is it's across all grades.
Mm-hmm.
So it's senior and ordinary grades. It's also giving choice to people to make that decision. I was thinking about moving back to Donegal. Now I've got this opportunity. I don't have to sit and wait on that panel. I can do it. And we will run that in tandem with the Coming Home for Christmas piece that the local CHO will run here.
Mm-hmm.
So in actual fact, we're giving two layers of it. The panel piece and also the Coming Home for Christmas piece, family members coming home. I genuinely do think I'll have an outcome of this, because listening to the staff the last day, they were nearly able to identify, but I know of. Well, now if you know of, would you please ring them?
Okay.
Because this is happening.
There's another group of I know of. I spoke to them on this programme, people who have studied elsewhere, Northern Ireland or what have you, right? They want to work here. That's where they want to work, but they do not want to go down the route of trying to get their qualifications recognised, having to have add-on qualifications. Do you know what I mean? That would see them not being able to work for long periods of time. They've got their bills, they've got everything to pay. They love what they do, but they can't take a year out effectively to go through all of that process. I put this to Simon Harris as well. He says he's going to look at this. So that's two really powerful ministers that have sort of a responsibility in this area. Both, hopefully, you're going to commit to look at that. So using the people in power, what can be done to sort of fast track or change whatever might be needed. We always want the best people for our children, don't get me wrong. Absolutely. But when they are there and they want to work here, and it's not just Donegal, how can we facilitate them to get to work as soon as possible?
All right, so to be fair to Minister Harris, one of the best, to be honest with you. And he's pragmatic and he's agile, and he has a lady working within his department, because we are dependent on the good people with us. Fiona. Fiona has gone out to see actually, so what can we do to bring them back, but actually train them while on the job?
Mm-hmm.
Bernard Gloucester on the other side, who actually has to look at the Curo, look at the regulation, is going, actually, we should be able to meet you along the way. So I started in the last 2 months workforce planning meetings of where Simon's team sits on it, as does the head of the HSE HR. We are there. We're nearly there. We nearly have it cracked. To be fair to you, Del Quinn, from your own area here, she has already been working on the SLT piece all along with Tala. To get that piece, 8 weeks or something like that. But we need it more than that. We need the OTs, the physios, as and all. We're very close to having that sorted. And I would think that I should have an outcome for that. Myself and Minister Harris are sitting down the second week in January. Maybe at that stage we will have that rolled.
Brilliant. So that's another strand that maybe might work in that
Well, you
regard.
have such potential here because you're so close to other areas of education. We need to be able to maximise that, and we need to be able to give that choice.
Now, some of the measures are short, medium, I think for the most part, medium, long term, undetermined what the outcome might be. But parents and caregivers, guardians, they're desperate right now. And they see capacity, and this is another thing that you referenced, you talked of, which I thought was interesting, but also head scratching, and you can explain to us here that because you can't hire, there's money spare there, right? And that money potentially could be repurchased to help fund private services. I believe, if I'm not misquoting you, I understand that's how I heard what you said. You said 45 million, I think it was, because you can't recruit. So let's take that money and let's get immediate interventions for children so that time isn't lost for them. Have you progressed that any further? Is that something that's achievable?
So that's the regional assessment hubs, what I said we needed to set in place. We need to put 9 regional assessment hubs in place. Would you believe it? 8 of the 9 are there. The one in Donegal is more of a desktop exercise. I need to pull them together a little bit more, but it is staffed. Okay, that's the most important piece. It is staffed. The tender document in relation to the privates now, to add that additionality of capacity, that tender document came in 2 weeks ago. So now we need to see what tenders come in from this area, what come in nationally. But I do know that there's documents in. What we now need to do is add that capacity to the centre frame. The centre frame would be the regional assessment hubs. You need to have that liaison officer from the HSE part of it, because they hold the legal right to ensure that the legislative rights of the child has been adhered to. But at the same time, we then will have it made up of, there'll be some admin, there'll be some, the liaison, there'll be some, there's 4 positions and there's a manager. Those 4 positions then, when the child will have their assessment, and there'll be private capacity in conjunction with the OT, the speech and language, and the physio from within the local team, that'll be part of it. The reason we have to have that liaison right, so as if a child has had an assessment and it is deemed that the child's actual needs are not needed as part of complex network or disabilities, that they need to go back into primary care, we open that door and the child returns, or if they need to go to mental health. That's called NAP, National Access Policy. Hasn't been working very well. It's a big conversation piece of mine. So we will have primary care, mental health and disabilities around that table with that liaison officer saying that child needs to go there, that's their front door, open it.
So it's a complex area and I'm trying to keep up here. So in terms of say a parent, a guardian with a child that needs intervention right now, but they've been told, listen, we don't have the staff, we can't do that. Are you able to facilitate, or is that part of facilitating, saying, right, there is some capacity in private, we'll get your child into to see someone privately? Is that doable? Is that on your radar?
I'll tell you what's on my radar, actually, is to reimburse parents. Okay?
I'm sure that's what you said that you might be able to do with that money you talked
reimburse, yes. So that's what's on my radar. So I need to have a structure that actually, there's 2 pieces to this. There's an assessment and there's an intervention. So I need to ensure that the assessment pieces, because the assessment pieces is critical. From a health point of view, if your child needs an intervention, needs-based is the way it's supposed to go. But from a social welfare or an education point of view, you must have a diagnosis. Now, they will say that we have removed the diagnosis for entry into education. Yeah, that's correct, but not for a special class or a special unit or a special school. Okay, so that's still paramount. So that's why I need the assessment hub. But I genuinely do believe we also need to have a reimbursement piece.
So, you believe it? You are the minister.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Okay, I have a pot of money secured for it. Not enough, I will add, because I know the need is so great.
Yeah.
But I need to be able to facilitate. And is there private capacity there? I'll see that from the tender document.
Yeah, but of course, what we have to try and avoid doing
is sucking.
Is creating something that ends up where we should be spending money publicly going private, because we see that in with the National Treatment Purchase Fund. It's fantastic, don't get me wrong. There's 350 million being spent through the NTPF on patients down at Letterkenny University Hospital. But if we spent that 350 million in the hospital, then we wouldn't have to need the NTPF. So we don't want to find ourselves getting into a situation we can't get out of. But there is a short-term need which you recognise.
It's a bolster. I call the word a bolster.
Right. So we'll be in touch with your department just to find out when that might be available. Schools, support in schools. It's a big one. It's going to come up. There's a lack of services and support for schools, mainstream and special ed schools. Parents believe this is having an impact on the schools. They've got no clinical guidance for children and the caseload and their case note, and they need urgent intervention. What will you be able to say to them today?
All right. What I'll be able to say is what I did in Wexford about 6 or 8 weeks ago at this stage. If a school is able to recruit an OT, a physio and a speech and language in a special school, if they can do that themselves, I'll fund it. Okay, there is a process how it needs to work with the local CDNT so that the child at all time their data moves seamlessly over and back. But at the end of the day, if you have a special school where you have a cohort of children arriving in, we have to be very clear. We have our most complex there, our most in need, that perhaps have not received, and I acknowledge, have not received services. It's something that Charlie McConnell says to me all of the time, like, we're getting no services and down here. It's absolutely on its knees. So we have to look at every measure. So if we were able to let the schools or the Parents Association find the clinicians that are all regulated and everything like that, that can come in and provide those hours. They're probably coming in privately already. And
you look at them favourably
Yeah.
in terms of funding.
Oh, absolutely. I've done it already in Wexford.
So just before we touch on a couple of things, I won't take up much of your time. You're very busy, right? I get that. But the letters went out to parents, I don't know when it was now, a few months ago, that says, look, we're short on staff. We will be prioritising the children with the greatest need, okay? And then I've been speaking to parents of children with incredible needs. And they're going, well, if when is this going to happen? So can you say or give any indication as to when the children with the greatest needs will get some clinical intervention? And that's regardless of the weather in the county, right? So we could have a really needy child in East Donegal, but there is someone who could provide those services potentially in Inishowen, but the parts, are they talking to each other? So regardless of where you live in your air code, when do you think we will see the children with the greatest needs here get that clinical intervention that they need, as much as you can answer that question?
All right. As soon as possible. It is a priority. I don't come to Donegal with words. I've come to Donegal with an action. The action being to recruit, the action being to support the schools, the action to support the staff on the ground who are stretched within an inch of their life, and the actual action to support the parents. It'll be a multifaceted approach in relation to recruitment for the teams, recruitment within the school, the alternative areas of respite, which could be camps of a day where we might have physios are linking in with our local ATU here, where we actually can take on board some of the students that can deliver and support under the clinical guidance in relation to camps.
Well, just in relation to that, we have this situation, and I can't remember exactly what area they're working in, where there are a number of students who are studying in the Letterkenny ATU, and I think it is in this area, who are committed to elsewhere. If that makes sense. If that's too vague, I can
Oh,
come
no,
back
no,
with
sure, I
more
have a daughter
details
doing
to
OT.
that. It is OT. It's also OT. So they're studying in Letterkenny, but with a view to moving elsewhere. No,
or for their training.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I would not begrudge them going anywhere else, don't get me wrong. But anyway, we'll not get into that.
But can I come into that?
Of course.
All right. I have a real strong opinion on this.
Right, well, let's have it.
My strong opinion is that we have young people locally who are training, who aren't getting the experience in the various disciplines because of the lack of clinical oversight or governance, is what would be said. So if we talk disability, there is no way that our OTs, our physios, our speech and language can go on to the CDNT team in Inishowen because we don't have enough staff to actually keep it functioning, not to mind to do it. But what we do need to do is we need to partner with, if there's a really good Down syndrome group or if there's a really good dyspraxia group, we actually need, which is still disabilities, we need to ensure that OT or physio can get their clinical placement there, because they are already using a speech and language therapist, which is maybe the voices of Down syndrome, which may be the OT, or maybe, I'm going to No Barriers, maybe there's an opportunity there for a physio to get that opportunity. So we don't need to lose them. We need to think alternatively.
Yeah.
How can, if it's not everything needs to happen through CDNTs either. We need to look to the broader field of it. How can we relieve pressure, and where else are children accessing services? So if it's through various groups, the likes of Down syndrome, the likes of dyspraxia, whatever, we need to ensure that our training clinicians get pathways in there as well.
Okay. And a brief one here. Respite services for children and adults with disabilities. They've shut down in Inishowen and Ballybofey. It was around the time of COVID. Staff redeployed. I don't know what's going on. I'm not necessarily asking you to comment on the specifics of that. But now the clients are sent to services in Letterkenny, which is 1,000,000 miles away, right? Are we ever going to see those services in the likes of these areas return? What's the pathway to that happening? Because the facilities they're there, but they're currently being used for full-time housing. The beds have been redeployed, or the spaces have been redeployed. Right, so that's fixing one problem, but it's displaced. And you know the ripple effect then for families who can't get respite as well.
Well, first and foremost, there is where we have 3 CDNT teams in one county, tells me that first and foremost, there's a real need for children's respite services within this county. The second piece then is, and I can understand how houses got repurposed during that period of time where perhaps because of the needs of individuals, they went from having respite to needing residential. We actually need to build in more capacity. So like those people that are there, perhaps we need to, that has now become their home, but we need to create the alternative replacement in that vicinity. And I've secured extra funding this year in the capital plan. I will be honest with you, I have a frustration within the HSE, and it's nothing to do with the team here on the ground. I have a complete frustration with HSE estates.
So much red tape.
Yeah,
too many layers of.
Oh, well, HSE estates are an absolute nightmare to deal with. They are the Achilles heel for me.
Okay. CNTs, CDNTs, 8 expression of interests in speech therapists on the 23rd of the 10th for Donegal this month. It's going to be 6.5 weeks before interviews take place, the 8th of the 12th. Despite the wording crisis and priorities being used, that's only 8 positions. So it's not a huge competition. Are the wheels moving quickly enough there? We could have had them in situ before Christmas.
All right, so that's
and that's someone obviously with.
Yeah, but that actually is the fact. So whoever gave you that is exactly what I have here in my document. So that's fact. All right.
I have great contacts, Ms. Rabbit.
You have good contacts. All right. So your facts are, and that's why I came in with all my documents today, because you know your stuff, and I compliment you on that. And I thank you for giving the time to disabilities. So the piece here is, so that's what's happened locally. And to be very fair to the HSE here locally, they broke away from what would have been the bureaucracy nationally. So I have to admire them on that. They're doing that themselves. But what I now need to support them is with that national piece, actually putting Donegal at the first with the expressions of interest. So wouldn't it be great if 50% of that came out of that? And if I could actually fill the rest from within.
Yeah. That's the third strand, perhaps, of what we've been talking.
Yes.
Okay. Listen, there's other stuff, Anne, but I can't hold you because you've got other appointments, right? Unless there's something specifically that you want to talk about. You're happy enough there?
No, actually, there's one thing. Yes, I do know that on the Tuesday, the 28th of November, Our Voices, Our Choices, there's an open day taking place for adults with disabilities here in the town. I would recommend everybody, and the reason I would recommend, sometimes we don't talk employment and we don't talk about housing. I want to hear people talk about those independent or supported independent living. You've already touched on it there. We need to turn the dial on so many layers, but independent and supported independent. I had a cup of coffee on the Kelly's is it across the road. They seemingly are fantastic when it comes to supporting people access employment, and I know you have a very strong chamber. So in that context here, employment and independent or supported independent living should be where the dial is starting to go in Donegal.
Okay, and finally, just a quick word on the mostly mothers, but some great fathers as well that came together on this CDNT issue. It's fantastic, isn't it? That
Absolutely.
Because no harm to politicians.
Oh, no.
But these mums and dads, they organised and created a voice that couldn't be ignored. I'm not saying you wouldn't be up here otherwise, and I know you get it, right? Anyone that hears you speaking the door know that you get it. But I think they deserve amazing credit for coming together, standing with each other, and making a noise that couldn't be ignored.
Absolutely, and can I compliment them on their social media, because on Monday night I think they had their meeting. They tagged me in on Facebook, so obviously one of them is a friend of mine. It came up on my news feed. It kept it very front and centre. I didn't, while Charlie is in one ear, I actually seen the faces of the parents the other night on my Facebook. I seen there was one man on it, you were right, and there was a number of mums. So I'm looking forward to meeting with them, engaging with them and working with them. I think that's the important piece. It's the collaboration, because without the parents at the centre, advocating for their young people, and we can't do it in a silo because that's where we get it wrong.
And we just want to be heard. That's what we do. We want to be heard up here. Minister Anne Rabbitte, thank you so very much indeed.
Thank you.
Back with more after the break.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with the Silver Tassie Hotel, the perfect venue for a Christmas get-together, serving festive lunch, afternoon tea, dinner and drinks throughout December. Follow Silver Tassie Hotel on Facebook and Instagram.
Christmas boost for beef finishers. Inside this week's Farmers Journal, we reveal how factories are scrambling to fill festive orders. Sheep mart prices jump by up to €5 a head. Climate shaming farmers is unfair, says Taoiseach. The latest on new long-term land lease tax rules. Roundup of the best tractors from the world's biggest machinery show. Mart managers hit out at TB proposals that could restrict cattle trade. And why hill farmers should be paid for managing the uplands. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
Add a splash of magic to the table this Christmas at Lidl. Indulge in our mouth-watering deluxe all-butter mince pies, only $2.99. And a sparkling touch with our Lidl Plus wine of the week, Cava Reserva, save €6, now $12.99. Wishing you a magical Christmas with Lidl. Get the facts, be drinkaware, visit drinkaware.ie.
Easy Living Furniture present their massive Black Friday sale with huge discounts of up to 60% off. That's right, up to 60% off everything until Sunday. With absolutely everything reduced, including sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses, and with 0% interest-free finance available with no deposit, the choice is easy. Black Friday sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
Hi, Tommy Bow here. Get in store to check out my new 15 Kings clothing collection, available in premium gents outfitters nationwide and at 15kings.com.
Donegal Local Development Company is hosting a showcase event celebrating Donegal businesses in the Central Hotel, Donegal Town on Friday the 24th of November from 1 to 7 p.m. This event is free to attend and features the best local startup businesses. Find your perfect Christmas gift, perfect tradesman, beauty product or outdoor adventure and much, much more, all in one place. Come along and support your local businesses and find out what's newly available in your area on a day that's guaranteed to be fun for all. Make celebrating Donegal businesses your business on November 24th. For more, visit dldc.org.
You know me, I do like a home that's warm and cosy during these cold winter months. In fact, the warmer and cosier, the better. That's why I insist on Willow Warm long burning briquettes. They're grown and made here in Ireland, and they're 100% carbon neutral. So Willow Warm briquettes are good for the environment, for the country, and your pocket. Willow Warm, the brighter, cleaner, greener way to a cosy home. See willowwarm.ie for stockists.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's 11:34. PJ McMonagle joins us now. Hiya, PJ. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm okay. Now, we're talking about a situation that affected your dad last Friday morning, almost a week ago now. What happened?
Almost a week ago.
What happened, PJ?
We had a fire in Dad's house on Friday morning. I got a call just after 5 to say that Dad phoned me, say that there was a fire in the house. So I just live across the road, so I ran down. And when I got down, Daddy was just out and his jammies and his bare feet outside the door. So thank God he had got out. We're not sure how the fire started, but what really saved his life, Greg, and that's why I wanted to speak about it, was a working fire alarm and the key in the door. The key in the door is very, very important. The firemen said to me when they were Strabane Fire Brigade were there, I would say within 20 minutes of phoning them, and they say when they get a call that time in the morning, they expect the worst. They were delighted to see that Dad was out, and they said the two things that made the difference was a working fire alarm and the key in the door. He says, with the smoke, Dad got up, he heard a noise, he got up, and when he went out and opened the bedroom door, he could hear the alarm. So he went up, and our house, he just went up the hall to the living room, he could see nothing, into the kitchen, could see nothing, and there's a cloakroom. He put his hand on the door, he thought the handle was kind of warm. When he opened the door, the flames had him in the face.
My word.
So he just closed the door, went back to the bedroom to get the phone. They phoned me, and when he went to come out, the house was full of smoke. So he had to put a coat over his head and follow the wall up, to get out. And only the key then was on the door. He wouldn't have got out.
Wow, so yeah, you can imagine. Hey, so there's three things: fire alarm, key in the door, but also having the internal doors closed, PJ. That seemed to have contained the smoke so we could rouse with the noise of the alarm. So
yes,
that's a third one.
Yes, a third one. He keeps all doors closed, so that, if them doors had been open, it probably never would have, maybe the smoke would have got to him before the fire alarm went off, so keeping the doors closed, having a working alarm and having the key in the door. The fireman said the last thing going to bed is put the key into the door. And Greg, and most houses, if their children are on, the first thing you do is take the key out and hang it up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The other big thing is the firemen from Strabane, when they cross the border, their systems don't communicate onto the Republic system, so they're lost. They have to take out their ordinary phone and get an air code to find, Rafo or Castlefin or whatever. And I suppose that only affects us around the border because we need them fire brigades in Derry or Strabane or right round the border.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't affect the people farther south. And it's something maybe it needs something done about, because, you're dependent on them people maybe to get you out or get a fire sorted. And I think in the year 2023, we should all be one.
Yeah, exactly. I can't understand it. Yep, exactly. Especially in a matter of emergency services, there should be a uniform.
Like that, and I can't thank the fire brigade, enough for what they've done, and the people that come in the ambulance. Letterkenny Hospital gets such a bad rap so many times. Daddy was taken straight from the house, straight to Letterkenny, straight on. We can't thank him enough for what they've done for him. He's out now again and he's okay, but the Letterkenny gets so many bad raps, but when they're needed, they're there.
Oh, for sure. And listen, the bad raps is to support those people that did amazing work in saving your dad. And PJ, the thing that's coming across, two things that are coming across with me is the thanks of all those that were there. But also, the relief. It sounds to me, PJ, that you're really glad that your dad's still with you, because a few things had to align and be done right for that to be the case, PJ.
That is correct. And when I opened the back door of the house to look in, Greg, the hall was full of smoke, and you just look to yourself and say, how did that man get out?
Yeah. Yeah. But he did. And the key in the door helped.
It's the key in the door, having a smoke alarm or fire alarm that's working, and the key in the door. Yeah. Every fireman I spoke to, that's the things they said to me, and I said, if I get a chance, everybody I speak to, that's the words I tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important, Greg.
Yep, excellent. Indeed, I know. As you were describing it, I often leave the key in the door, but sometimes I don't. And the key, often our door keys are on our car keys, and your car keys can be in your jeans pocket, your jacket pocket, on the kitchen counter. And I'm just, as you're speaking to me, PJ, I'm thinking, if that happened in my house, I can't find the car keys, and I'm not being funny, I often can't find the car keys in the morning, in daylight, after a night's sleep.
Yes.
So to be struggling to try and find them at 4, 5, 6 in the morning if they weren't in the door, and I couldn't get out my front door because the glass isn't big enough to get out, and it's too tough to break. So
yes,
I will be leaving my key in the door from now on. Put it to you like that. So if you wanted to affect one person, you've affected me and my family.
Yes, and and the thing about it, you will be disorientated, and you think you know where the door is, but you'll not know. And how do you go about finding the keyhole then when you're not, and you're panicking into the bargain? It's not a normal situation, so it's so important to have that key in the door.
Right, well, I'm delighted that your dad got the early intervention of the fire brigade. I'm delighted that he got the fantastic services of Letterkenny University Hospital, and I'm extra delighted that he's back out now and doing good. It's a big old hit. It takes a while to get over, because it's not just the thank God I'm alive. It's the damage to the house and what could have happened, and that takes a bit of time to work through, I'm sure, PJ, for all of us.
It does indeed, but it was a good outcome. But I just can't thank the fire brigade. The guards were there too. They were more than good to us. The ambulance service, the emergency services, when you need them, they are there, Greg. And sometimes they get a bad rap, but they are absolutely brilliant when they're needed.
Brilliant stuff. All right, PJ, I hope you listen, lots of people have heard you and lessons have been learned. Thanks, PJ. Best wishes to Dad and the rest of the family. All right.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
PJ McMonigal there. Lucky escape. Luck played a factor, but common sense also. Working fire alarm, check it's working. I like to sort of keep the indoor doors closed. I'm not sure if that's the official advice, but it certainly contained the smoke until his dad awoke, and the key in the door. When he got hit by the flames effectively when he opened that door, by the way. So disorientating is the word, but the key was in the door. He was able to get out. He got excellent care in Letterkenny University Hospital, and he's out now and doing well. But it is Thanksgiving Day, and there's advice and thanks from PJ there.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Your one-stop shop this Christmas. Gift vouchers for the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa are available online at silvertassiehotel.com or from hotel reception. The Silver Tassie, proud sponsors of today's show.
I have the right to make the decisions that matter to me.
Decisions about my money, my property, where I live.
Decisions about care and medical treatment. If any form would support.
The new decision support service can help.
And if I want to plan ahead so that my wishes are always known and respected.
I can do that too. The decision support service can help me and those close to me.
To understand the options available.
My decisions.
My rights.
To find out more, visit decisionsupportservice.ie.
From the luxurious to the sustainable, supporting Irish makers also means choosing quality that's designed to stand the test of time. In a world of fast fashion and disposable items, it's the lasting connection we make with these beautiful products that finds a special place in our hearts. Find something you love forever at madelocal.ie. Made local, made to last. Supported by Design and Crafts Council Ireland and me, Lyra.
The Hyundai Electric family, designed for yours. The Ioniq 5 with a range of up to 507 kilometres. The all-new Kona with a range of up to 514 kilometres. And Irish Car of the Year 2024, the Ioniq 6 with a range of up to 614 kilometres. Hyundai, our family, designed for yours.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 600.
Special offers at Meehan's of Rafo. Men's bootcut jeans only €35. Stretch jeans also available. Tough stuff trousers only $29.99. There's a large selection of diesel hoodies and half zips. Also stocking shirts and jumpers up to 5XL. Meehan's of Rafo. Gift vouchers also available.
RSVP Country Magazine Bumper Christmas Edition, packed full of fantastic features and some of Ireland's biggest performers. Daniel O'Donnell shares his excitement around his new album and fills us in on his Christmas plans. We catch up with the Wolf Tones following their phenomenal performance at Electric Picnic, and the Tumbling Paddies reflect on their 2023 success and what's next for the group. Plus your chance to win tickets to see Michael English New Year's night with overnight stay for two at the Woodford Dolman Hotel Carlow. RSVP Country, on sale now at all usual news agents.
Here is a sneak preview of your future.
You might soon possibly own something worth a lot of money. Stay tuned to the 9 to Noon Show for more details.
Making over 70s do refresher courses if they want to drive is discriminatory and should not see the light of day, according to one senator. A proposal before the European Commission would see motorists over the age of 70 have to undergo regular medical tests and additional courses if they want to renew their licences. And this sounds like an ironic thing to say. I'm pleased my dad's not around to hear this, because he would blow a fuse. Senator Noel Blaney is the senator in question that believes it's deeply insulting and undermines the rights of older people. And as much as I try and stay somewhat impartial on these matters, Niall, I'm going to have to row in behind you on this one. I think it is insulting, and I think it undermines the rights of older people. But tell us a bit more about what you think about it.
Well, this is one of those things that the Commission do, and these things usually come when it comes as far as us on Ireland. It's in relation to directives, but at the moment it's in early stages of discussion by the European Commission, and I feel exactly the same way as you do about it, Greg. I think it's absolutely discriminatory to take a blanket measure on anything in relation to a licence on age grounds, whether it be 70 or any other age, is absolutely, completely the wrong way to go about this. These things should not be taken on an age-related basis, possibly on a health-related basis. But moreover, we have a system that works really well in this country. It doesn't need fixing. It should be left well alone. I have a neighbour, Greg, that takes part in endurance races not that long ago. A man who actually is now in his 70s. He was the fastest man up and down Muckish Mountain. Comparing people by their age is absolutely discriminatory. And
it would drive a certain amount off the road as well, simply those that go stuffing. And we don't know what would happen to them. And just another thing in relation to that, where's the evidence on this? Why put the medicals to one side, but the refresher courses, why would you start them at over 70? Why not start them at 25 and do it every 5 years?
These are the most experienced.
Do you know what I mean?
These are the most experienced drivers on our island. This is not where the evidence is shown the difficulties lie. There's no evidential base for this. It's a silly proposal, and I'm doing everything I can to ensure that it doesn't see the light of day, and that it never gets as far as a directive proposal. And I'm asking others to row in behind me, other politicians. I will be writing to the Taoiseach and Taoiseach and MEPs later today that this has to be knocked. It's a nonsensical approach, and it deserves to be written off the book.
And we already have measures in there to ensure that people of a certain age are okay to drive. Okay, listen, I think most people are going to be in agreement with you. Just a quick word on the European elections, Senator. You have formally said that you're interested in a nomination. We had some more speculation. If you're comfortable to talk about this, by the way, we've had more speculation today. Barry Cowan's name's been mentioned, Lisa Chambers, your own name's in there as well. We have an extra MEP seat for the Midlands Northwest. What's the process now in terms of your party's selection? Is it 2 candidates, 1 candidate? Do you know yet, or where does that all lie, I wonder?
Still all to be formally decided by the party, Greg. So, as you know, this is some of the evidence is not just this term. I was very close to the nomination last time around. I wasn't elected anything at the time. I suppose I had no means to build my profile. That's different this time. And I suppose in an effort to do that, and also to be at one with the Fianna Fáil organisation, because it's important that you know that I'm not, your listeners know I'm not a candidate as yet. This is very much an internal party thing.
Yeah.
But I have been on the road across the 13 counties of the Midlands Northwest as it did exist since April, visiting party members, conventions, party meetings, and an effort to start my campaign and have the groundwork done. And I suppose of those being talked about at the moment, I'm the only one that has that groundwork done. And from here, I would imagine the next number of weeks there'll be an opening of for nominations from those that are interested.
And is there anything in that you want to see that makes sure that it's open and transparent and fair? You don't want to sort of feel like, well, maybe Barry Caron's owed one, or maybe there's I don't know, some other consideration for Ms. Chambers, for example. Have you any concerns that you're going to get a fair crack of the whip in that regard, Niall?
Yeah, so there was a couple of things. You remember last time around, I suppose there had been a lot of noise about the fact that the convention was called quite quickly on us on the weekend of the St. Patrick's Bank holiday. It was a terrible weekend of hailstones on the road in the morning. It was very difficult for people in Donegal to get all the way to Longford, and same for all the other counties. We felt that was called, and it wasn't very favourable to certainly to me anyway as a candidate. So what I'm calling for this time, Greg, is that each county hold its own convention. I'm not sure that will happen, but at the very least, I want to see a multiple of locations for voting. Maybe take counties in blocks and have a convention centre for maybe 3 or 5 at a time, at the very least. And I think that's only right, because people are being asked to travel just to have a vote. It's a bit much to ask people to have to do that.
So say somewhere in Ballyshannon, Leitrim, Sligo, Donegal. I'm just
Well,
throwing
if
that
you're
out. Is that
having,
what
if you were having
town,
Sligo,
yeah.
Sligo, Leitrim, and Donegal town, somewhere in South Donegal would be more certainly a more approachable manner, and more considerate for those that have a vote. And then people really can't complain but not getting the opportunity of having their say.
All right. Well, as you say, it's an internal matter, and that'll have to be resolved, and we'll know more down the line. For now, Senator Niall Blaney, thank you very much for that.
The 9 till Noon Show with the multi-award-winning Silver Tassie Hotel. Planning dream weddings for generations. Email weddings at silvertassiehotel.ie for a brochure or your private show around.
This Christmas at Super Value, we have great offers to help you share the magic, like Super Value Fresh Irish Housekeeper's Cut, better than half price, and Bailey's, now €10, exclusive to Real Rewards members only. Plus, get money off vouchers every week on the Real Rewards app too. Share the magic this Christmas with Super Value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly. T's and C's apply.
At the Central Statistics Office, we're trusted to gather all sorts of information. So, we count lakes, stakes, and haulage intakes. We count wages, ages, and all of life's stages. We count loans, phones, still living at home. We count euros and cents and housing and rents. We count Mars, electric cars, and the price of a jar. Because this data informs important decisions on everything from economic activity to housing policy to what to call a new baby. And we can't do it without you. CSO, count on us. We count on you.
Check out these special offers at Simpsons Supermarket, Letterkenny. There's Lions Original Tea Bags, 160s, €4. Nicky Toilet Roll, 32-pack, €10. Fairlog 10-pack, €12. And there's Neil's Flour 3kg, €3. See our massive range of goodies for the Late Late Toy Show Fest. Plus, we are now taking orders for your Christmas turkey. While there, check out Peggy's Kitchen Cafe for great food, tea and coffee. Only 2 minutes from Letterkenny Hospital. Simpsons Supermarket. Great value every day.
Let Caffrey prepare you for a rewarding career in the food and drink sector. Apply to study an innovative degree course at Loughry, Caffrey's specialist food-focused campus. At Caffrey, you will develop the scientific knowledge and technical skills to tackle global food production challenges. You'll also establish valuable industry connections. Apply now through UCAS. Visit cafre.ac.uk and discover food degree courses.
We're turning Black Friday red in the Virgin Media Playhouse. Get 1 gig superfast reliable broadband for just €45 a month for 12 months with no activation fee. And when you add TV for €15 a month, an Xbox Series S is your Red Friday gift. Get your play underway with 1 gig broadband and TV for €60 a month. Switch in store or at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. Terms and conditions apply. See virginmedia.ie. Offer ends the 29th of November 2023.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
So, today, breezy and mostly cloudy this morning, although the morning is gone now, so let's focus on the afternoon. It'll, through the afternoon and into the evening, drier, clearer weather will push down from the north. Highest temperatures of 11 or 12 degrees in fresh to strong and gusty westerly winds at first, easing moderate to fresh later. Okay, a couple of things I want to mention before I get to your comments. John Breslin, he is quite literally around the northwest. He's live from outside the Central Hotel in Donegal Town today with the DLDC, the Donegal Local Development Company. They're celebrating and showcasing Donegal business tomorrow from 1 p.m. till 6:30 p.m. So this is a nice OB, actually, because you get to talk about everything that's going on, but also give you full warning because it's happening tomorrow. And don't forget, if you're down around Donegal Town, it's great to have so many of you on board listening down that way. Don't forget, you can go and say hello to the team there as well. John Preston's kind of a return home. He's a South Donegal man, isn't he? Now, we had a €50 fuel voucher to give away from Kelly's today. Mary Connolly in Cashel Park. You are the winner, Mary. You correctly answered the question. 366 days in a leap year. You've got €50 towards your travelling expenses. And there's one tomorrow, isn't there, Caroline? And how much is it for? A €250 fuel voucher tomorrow. Wow, if there's ever an excuse to tune in, make sure to do so tomorrow. That's a €250 voucher tomorrow, thanks to our friends at Kelly's. All doors should have a knob on them and they don't need a key. These are your external doors. A couple of people said that. Hi, Greg. Any window door fitter can put a knob on the inside of the door, cuts out the need for a key. So you rotate it, do you? You rotate it, and that's how you lock it. So obviously there's kind of like a key on the end of the knob and it stays there all the time. Sounds like a really good idea. This other listener, though, says we never take the key out of the door. It's in it all day and all night. Indeed, but I can be guilty of leaving the key on my car keys. In a geographical spread like Donegal, there are children as complex in mainstream classes throughout the county. Thank you for that. My friend, who's a nurse who lives in Castlefin, can be told to report to work in Dunlow. It takes over an hour to get there, work 12-hour shift and another hour or more to get home. There's no concern about the danger of falling asleep after such a long period. Who's responsible in the event of a collision in such a scenario? Which is actually a really interesting point. And unfortunately, I am aware of tragic cases of people dying on the way home after a long shift. So it's not like it doesn't happen. Very sadly, it has happened. Please ask Minister Rabbitte what supports and services have government in place or will put in place for victims of parental alienation. Children and parents didn't get to that. I'm not 100% sure it's our portfolio, but we can check that out. Ask the Minister why they're not getting male workers. They only hire female workers. Ridiculous. Clients waiting for months for comfort chairs, call charges, etc. It's terrible. Another, Donegal East has a 70% vacancy rate. You heard our measures to try and address that. And another, they can't retain the staff they have, let alone attract the staff. Well, maybe if there's more staff sharing the workload, it might be a more attractive proposition to work up here. We're going to track those measures and see if they're effective. That's what we're here for. But the concerns were raised by parents. Those concerns are being answered on an ongoing level from a number of different areas, and we'll continue to keep across all of that. Right, that's where we have